Roll call, please.
Dominic, Johnson, Williams,
Here.
Lynn,
Present.
Bowman, Baker, Lynch,
Here.
Escaday,
Here.
Thibodeau, Cox, Smith, Jefferson. We
Here.
have a quorum.
Oh, I'm sorry. Will you please stand for prayer by Commissioner Bowman and pledge by Commissioner Williams.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you now thankful and grateful for all of your very many blessings. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the opportunity to serve. Heavenly Father, I pray now for each and every one of my fellow commissioners who stand here today. I pray for our administrative staff and all the staff of the parish. Heavenly Father, bless this parish and help it to be what you desire it to be. Help us to do our very best to serve those who sent us here. Heavenly Father, I also pray now for our veterans and for our active duty soldiers over on foreign soil. Bless them, guide them, protect them, take care of them and their families as well. I pray, Heavenly Father, that this meeting will be very successful, that we accomplish those things that we set out to do. It is in you, Heavenly Father, that I pray. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Yeah. Turn to face the flag, with the proper salute and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you for that.
We don't have one today.
Are there any agenda additions? If not, next item, Mr. Clerk.
Have citizen comments. I had no cards.
Okay. Next item.
Next we have visitors, Miss Urena Holt.
Mr. Clerk, Ms. Holt contacted me and stated that something came up. She needed at a later date.
Next item.
And next we have reports, administration reports.
Okay. I do. First, we'll have a NLEP update from Mr. Scott Martinez, President of North Louisiana Economic Partnership.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you all so much for having me here today. With your permission, I'd like to just approach the dais and give these to y'all. Over the past, I came on board in January, and over the past several months, I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to get to know many of you, as well as the staff that represents this parish, and I've been impressed and blessed with the public service attitude and just the competencies of the commission and staff. I had the pleasure last month to go to Toledo with Parish Attorney Grubb to visit Libby Glass and along with Mayor Glover to let them know that they're important to this community. Of course, we know they're laying off and they're going through some business changes at their facility here in Shreveport and Caddo Parish, and that was well received. And we've had their executives from Ohio back to Shreveport because we want to ensure that our local industries that's employing our citizens today are taken care of and that they have our full attention. It's great that we go out, and we certainly part of our economic development program is to go out and tell people the many attributes of North Louisiana and Caddo Parish. And we're doing that in an aggressive way. But some of the things that we're doing now, I mentioned the Libby Glass visit. We're trying to get in with Frymaster's headquarters up in Wisconsin and go up there and visit with them and see what their needs are. We plan on doing that with state officials hopefully later this month. So I just want to echo or stress that certainly we're going out and recruiting, but we're also trying to make sure that the companies here that are paying the bills today and employing our people today are well taken care of. Before you, I have some slides that I want to share with you. And these are first quarter of 2013 numbers, so January 1 through the end of March. We had 57 projects that were active in our pipeline. By that I mean projects that we've submitted proposals for, we've worked with LED on, we've worked through our relationships with site consultants and corporate real estate executives on to show North Louisiana. Obviously, we represent 14 parishes in North Louisiana, but I will say, in all candor, that the predominance of those projects have been in Caddo Parish. Because of the assets that we have here in Caddo Parish, we just don't have in the other 13 parishes. You look at West Shreveport and some of the industrial properties there and the industrial parks that we're blessed with in our parish, obviously that's going to be top of focus just because you show what you have, you play to your strengths, and that's what we do. But I'm just going to, of those 57 projects, that represents 6,700 over 10,000 employees. Obviously, we're not going to land every one of those projects, but that just shows the volume of projects that are in play nationally from a site selection standpoint and economic development that we've submitted on. That represents investment of $2.3 to $2.6 billion and 3 to 4 million square feet of space. Again, those aren't projects that obviously that'll all land in North Louisiana, but we certainly want to be aggressive and have an approach that when we deal with these projects and these prospects, that we make a good business case for North Louisiana. Of those 57 projects, 34 were in manufacturing, which is no surprise. North Louisiana in particular, has been historically strong in manufacturing, and I don't see that changing with the workforce we have and the history of manufacturing in North Louisiana. We're going to continue to see a lot of that. We're seeing a lot more activity in the oil and gas sector. There's a couple of large investments that we know that are about to be made in North Louisiana that we're aware of, and some of it's already occurring. So we see a tick back with our oil and gas sector and our energy sector. Of those 57 projects, 36 were relocations and 21 were expansions. I misspoke earlier, I apologize. We're working on expansions. Of course, if you look throughout North Louisiana, we've had an expansion at CenturyLink in Monroe. We're having some expansions here that we're working on. We even have some expansions in Natchitoches. Worked on a project in Coushatta, 100 employees in Coushatta, which is huge for that parish. So those are some of the things we're working on. We're funded, I don't know if y'all are aware, we've got about 200 public and private sector investors that fund the North Louisiana Economic Partnership. We have no statutory funding from the government other than some revenue we get from 2 casinos here in this area. Other than that, it's completely voluntary, and the predominance of our funding comes from the private sector. So I want to echo that, and we certainly appreciate Caddo Parish's long-term and long-standing commitment to us. We've got, excuse me, I went over some of the projects, and you see these crazy names that these projects are given. We've got a solar project that's looking in the area now that hopefully we'll get a little more traction on. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We not only do what you see with recruiting and working with our existing companies, we also work after the company's announced. We spent a week with Bentler Steel executives from Germany and from Brazil last month that were coming to Louisiana, to Shreveport, Bossier, looking for housing, looking for schools for their kids, looking for corporate housing in some instance. But we spent a week with those employees, those potential employees. We introduced some Germans to some Cajun cooking, and some of them liked it, some of them didn't. But I'm sure if I went to Germany, that'd be the same case with me and German food. One interesting thing that we did this past quarter was we sent Angie White in our office with a group from Southern University Shreveport, BIPSI, and the Technical College up to Kansas City to look at a training facility that they've done there, that they're interested in doing something similar here at their facility in Shreveport. So it runs a gamut of things. We had our annual meeting, which I know Commissioner Escudé, you were at, and I appreciate your attendance there. And we tripled our attendance from last year. We had over 200 people, had the publisher of Forbes magazine in town for that, and he spent some time here, and I know we got some good positive media attention from that event. But I'll be happy to answer any questions I've had. Like I said, the privilege of working with Commissioner Baker, Dr. Wilson, Charles Grubb, and many others. And I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help you. Obviously, we cover 14 parishes, but our office is 2 blocks from here, so I'm here almost every day. We have a presence here every day.
Vito, I can't see it. I think I've seen campus this place first.
It was Stephanie, so me, I was number 3.
Commissioner Lynch.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
sorry, tell me, I think I missed our introduction. What's your name?
I'm Scott Martinez.
Oh, Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a few questions.
Yes,
One,
ma'am.
what is the budget for the NLEP?
The NLEP budget this year is about $1.4 million.
All right. Let me ask you, these projects that you have on here, the new active projects, do any of the investors that, put money into the NLEP, do they invest in any of these projects?
They may be investors, but, I personally feel to keep the integrity of the project until it's announced, a lot of times, unless our investors directly involved with the project, most often it's confidential unless it's with a governmental entity that's involved with the project.
Oh,
If I'm working on a project and it's in Caddo Parish, obviously, the first people I'm going to call is going to be this parish commission, Dr. Wilson.
Oh, okay. So the 200 people, that's public and private?
Yes, ma'am.
Private investors.
And they range from investors of $1,200 a year all the way up to $100,000 per year.
Okay.
For instance, CenturyLink paid to have Rich Carlgard, the publisher of Forbes, come to Shreveport. They underwrote that at $20,000, which wasn't part of their typical investment.
That was the annual meeting?
That was the annual meeting.
I think it popped up on my Facebook page, and the guy was saying we were in the worst recovery since, the beginning of time, and he didn't bash the president, did he?
He did not.
Okay. On this Spark project,
Yes, ma'am.
an expansion that is this 1,500 jobs, is that 1,500 new jobs or just maintaining what they have?
That's 1,500 new jobs. All of these are incremental increases. They're new jobs.
Okay, and the 50 million investment represents what? The cost to expand the facility?
The cost to expand the facility,
Okay.
it could be in equipment, it could be in buildings and improvements on the facility.
Okay, let me ask you a hypothetical. If we had $15 million to directly invest in any one of these projects on here, what impact would that have on what you all do and our ability to either have a company relocate or have a company that's here expand?
Commissioner, it depends on the project. Some of these projects are with more mature companies than others. I'm dealing with an aviation project now that's very flush with capital. So they're not going to come in at, incentives aren't a big part of their location decision.
Okay.
But others, if they're startups or they're younger companies that aren't as well capitalized, obviously that influx of cash could make a difference. And I think it's, just as a taxpayer and a citizen, I think with every project you look at, you need to make sure and know who you're dealing with. If I go into a bank and ask for a loan, people are going to ask me about me and if I have the capacity to perform on that loan, or some of these companies, we need to make sure they have the capacity to do what they say they're going to do. Because the last thing I would want to do is bring before this commission a project that that's not real and that ends up embarrassing us all. We need to make sure, and I'll tell this to the other 13 parishes I represent, that we do a high level of due diligence, and that's reasonable. I'm not saying to be unreasonable, but at the same time, you're dealing with tax dollars and a public trust. So I know I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard before, but any project I bring before you, I'm going to have a certain level of, have done a certain level of due diligence as far as background and capacity and some of those things. And I'm sorry, that was probably a long answer to a short question.
No, that was I couldn't have said it better myself. But let me ask you one last question, because we're looking at an EB-5 program. We didn't get the SKIDA, the Shreveport Caddo Economic Development something. I don't forget what the A was for. Association. Oh, thank you. Off the ground, quite off the ground, because we did the. I don't think you were here when Ronnie Bryant and we went through that year
and David died. I was not.
And, putting that together and to try to have an entity that was particularly focused on job creation through existing businesses that are here, expansion. And that type thing, and of course, we're looking at EB-5 program now. We're not in the business of economic development, although it is a part, of what we do to try to help create jobs. But one of the things that they were clear about was, government needed to create the environment for the private sector, and not, be in the, business of economic development. And of course, that was their opinion, but the EB-5 program, is that something that you all have looked at as an entity, or the chamber? Or,
I don't think our group has looked at it intensely as a program. I will say, in my past, I have dealt with EB-5 and EB-5 foreign investments as a way to get capital for projects, and it's been successful. In particular, when I was in the Austin area, there was a strong EB-5 program affiliated with the Asian American Chamber of Commerce there. And they were looking at a few hotel projects and some other things that were good projects. I mean, it's a credible program. It works. I mean, there's historical evidence that's quantifiable that it works. And California's been, you look at a lot of the investments in California, they've come from Asia. Through EB-5 programs.
Right. So have you all looked at that at all?
We've not, but we are currently, actually.
You are looking at it?
We are. There's a lady from Austin that I have a history with that's given me some guidance on it and how to do it here. But it doesn't matter who, the program is good. Take the personalities out. She may not be the person to help us here. Maybe someone else. And I'm not married to any one particular person doing it. I just see it as another tool in the toolbox of accomplishing capital investment and employment opportunities.
Okay. So have you looked at the other ones that are in the state? Have you all gotten that far?
As far as the other EB-5 programs in the state, we have not.
Okay, so y'all are just kind of starting.
Okay. It's in its infancy, but like I said, I've been here since January 1st. And
oh, you're a baby. Okay, thank you. I'm not going to hold you. Thank you so much.
Is that it? Is that it?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, sir, for coming. Thank you for all the work you've been doing to job retention and job creation. One of the things represent an urban district, and we have a host of problems. Revitalize, reinvest, and rebuild. But also, high unemployment among African Americans is a national dilemma. And we know education and literacy and dropout creates a lot of the problem. But what did your office do in return to not only just rural development, what do you do for urban economic development? Because we know that you can
find opportunities for infrastructures for urban areas. We can maybe reduce a lot of the crime in our community, high school dropout. People feel good about when they're working. Maybe can find, we got busing, we got all kind of opportunity that we can do to make the quality of life better for those that live in urban America. But all I hear is when I come before these bodies is what are they doing outside of urban America? And I can see where the city and the parish can coexist in developing meaningful, good-paying jobs for all people, but especially those low to moderate income. And before you answer that, I have one more thing to say. We live in a global economy, and I'm looking how can we have better international relationship with our partners and our friends across America to get our goods and services made in America products over in those countries, because they're importing and we're not exporting a lot of things here made in America. So I'm looking how can you office or other offices, even the EB-5 program, this is one of the greatest international eye-openers for markets in America right now. And I look forward to supporting that down the road here. But I do want to for your office and whenever that EB-5 program do come to fruition, to also look at not only using outside money for creative investment or on American soil, but also try to find ways where those investors can look to try to find meaningful employment to come to urban America, and not just a regional center just in north of town. So here again, we appreciate what you do and hope that when that time does come and you and the EB-5 coordinator, director, can get together and do both, do urban and do rural, but find out where we can get our product. I'd like to get some chickens over in Africa somewhere. You know? If I could find a ship, I would love to find a way to get some over there and support those people over there, those third world countries. So whatever you can do, sir, you've done a great job. You're going to do better. I can to support you in your endeavor. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll address two things that you touched upon. The first was what are we doing in an urban environment? I've spent time with Dr. Belton up at Southern University and Janice Sneed. I've met the honors and everything at R&R up there on Martin Luther King, and I've went to the incubator that Capital One's housed at up on MLK, and I look at where KCS is contemplating doing their training facility. It's all in an urban environment. I visited with Dr. Belton and the group at Southern as far as their plans up there in that part of the parish and in the city of Shreveport. I think it's ambitious, but I think it's doable with as far as doing the planning and really creating an environment for entrepreneurship and really community building in that part of our community. And I commend them for their leadership, and certainly I want to be involved in a meaningful way in any way I can that brings value to it. The other piece, the international piece, I just got named to a state board looking at a strategic plan for international economic development to the state. We've got 2 meetings this month in Baton Rouge to develop a policy and a strategy for foreign direct investment into the state of Louisiana. And you can bet with, I'm glad I'm at the table, North Louisiana will have a voice as part of those discussions.
But I'd like to just, if you mind, sir, if you could just keep, not only just Dr. Wilson posted, but I would like to directly be involved on your international relationship, keep me posted as well, and then any other commissioners.
Certainly. And my cell phone's available. Commissioner Baker and I, we speak after hours often sometimes, so.
Commissioner Epperson?
Not in that way.
Okay. Mr. Martinez,
Yes,
when
sir.
you carried the Bentley personnel around looking for housing, what was their impression of the city and the parish and the neighborhoods that you carried them through as far as the housing, the cleanliness of the streets, the condition of the streets, schools? Did they give you an opinion?
It was overall, I will say, it's favorable. There was, I don't want to say, for lack of a better word, confusion as far as the schools and how the magnet schools work and some of those things that took some explanation. But overall, they were very pleased with the housing choices because they're going to have employees that cover a spectrum of income levels, that cover a spectrum of skill sets, from professionals to hourly workers. they felt like our area could meet those needs as far as housing, as far as finding a public education setting that could be productive to their kids. So, I've worked I'm from South Mississippi. Showing Shreveport and Caddo Parish, it's not a bad sell. We've got a lot to be proud of in this community. And I have no hesitation taking them to any part of this parish or this city.
Bring that in there.
Excuse me?
Scott, what about, have you visited Hirsch Coliseum?
I have not.
Fairgrounds?
I've not.
Yeah, I have a tendency to think that there is some potential left there. And if it's under your purview, maybe you might can get out and meet with, what's the gentleman's name?
Chris Giordano.
Chris Giordano. And a structure's been around a long time, but I still think it has some economic value and could possibly enhance that area over there with some things. So if you might, if you get a chance, maybe we go over and talk with him and look at that facility.
We did have a dinner at Independence Bowl Stadium that Friday night they were here.
Right.
So we certainly showed that part of our community when those executives
Hirsch
were here.
Coliseum, that's the the facility right next to it.
And those kids played soccer out on the field that night.
Yeah, that's the Independence Stadium.
So,
Anything in store for West Shreveport, West Caddo Parish? We're looking for retail options out there. We certainly think we have demographics, socially, economically, that could sustain it.
It's interesting. Historically, the North Louisiana Economic Partnership, NLEP, hasn't been engaged in retail development. In fact, before I got here, it was very minimal.
Right.
That's one of the changes that I've done. We've actually, since I've been here, gone to a retail trade show and made that open to any community that wanted to go. We would provide space and registration for them. I apologize, sir.
You hit the nail right on the head, because I did hear that from an individual that was in that operation prior to you coming. And I say, how in the devil can you, what's wrong with retail as far as being economic development? You know what I mean? People got money to spend. It create jobs, construction for facilities. So I'm certainly glad to hear that. And I'm not going to prolong you, but I would like, if you would, to maybe extend an invitation, get a list of the neighborhood organizations as to who you are, the proposal that you're going to put on the table now, and the way that you're going to maybe do things differently that was in the past, because it appears as though the organization that I know feel as though your organization is taboo as far as dealing in the retail arm, and they've been trying to advocate for that for years.
I think that retail development is part of an economic development strategy. It has to be, because if you're recruiting companies like Bentler Steel and large companies, those executives are going to expect certain retail opportunities to be present in your community. Whether that's a Macy's, whether that's an Apple store, whether some of those things that really add to the quality of life and make sure our community attractive to retailers. I mean, that's got to be part of the strategy. You can't live in a bubble and say, oh, we're only just going to do manufacturing or industrial development. That doesn't work anymore. There's been a big paradigm shift in economic development. That was the case historically. People wanted to get the industrial stuff, and the retail they thought would follow it. Well, that hasn't been the case. And really, because of suburban communities that are next door to each other, there's been a lot more competition for retail projects.
Right.
So that is part of what we'll be doing.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the Urban Land Institute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the Almanac for Business and Industrial Financial Ratios. Lee Troy.
Familiar with ULI and the Urban Land Institute.
Okay.
But as far as planning, and I'm familiar with planning, I've been involved with planning at a community level. But as far as the ratios here, it's not something I've dove into at this point.
Okay. That's all I have.
Commissioner Lynn?
Mr. Martinez,
Yes, sir.
recently, as in the last couple of years, Caddo Parish and the city of Shreveport were working together to form an economic partnership, the Shreveport-Caddo Economic Development. It's my belief and my understanding that we hope to assemble that at some time in the future, though we don't have any point in time assembled. Could your office assemble something for Caddo Parish? Right now we have 2 commissioners that are going out and doing more work than traditionally would be asked of commissioners. And is it possible for you to help us prop something up within Caddo Parish that would feed to everybody, and then at the same time be prepared to merge, dovetail in with whatever the city is able to do?
We certainly want to assist the parish any way that's feasible, but we'll be happy to help, as far as boots on the ground if we need to for Caddo Parish. As far as the particulars, I guess the devil's always in the details. It depends on what those details are and what we agree to. But it's something we're certainly open to. Even though, like I said, we represent 14 parishes.
And I'm not talking about you representing, I'm talking, do you have the facilities within your group to help set up an independent that of course would obviously work with you, but actually would be underneath Mr. Wilson? Of course, I haven't discussed this with Mr. Wilson or
Certainly.
anybody else. It's just you're telling me what you do, and I'm asking you if you can do this as well.
Certainly. Natchitoches is going through the same thing right now. They're setting up.
You've done that for Natchitoches? You've done this for
Natchitoches is starting that process now, and it's something we're certainly going to assist them with.
Okay, would you share with me what you do for Natchitoches, and maybe some of the other commissioners might want that information as well?
They just started.
Something we want to follow.
They're just starting their process and just sent out a survey last week. Gentleman, that's the government relations for Weyerhaeuser, is sort of leading that up with the Port Commission, with the Chamber, with the city, and the parish down there. What we're doing is we're going to try to provide them, or we're going to provide them, information on structures that are used nationwide that are at the county and parish level that seem to work, and what are some of the best practices that we see at the parish or county level that are most effective, that hopefully are most efficient. We'll be happy to help with that.
Will you send me the information that you send to them and just keep me on an ongoing basis with the questionnaire
Certainly.
and such? I mean, ultimately, I think it would be nice if the parish did have a more structured economic arm that at whatever point we decide to go one direction or the other, that we could hopefully do that.
Certainly, I'll be happy to.
Thank you. That's all, Madam President.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Martinez, I thank you for supporting the MLK projects that they're trying to do, since that is my area that I represent. One question I do have is when Ms. Lynch asked you about the companies and how you go about doing the research and the due diligence of those companies. About a year and a half ago, right before you got here, I'm assuming, we had this big hoopla for Liberty Glass. And then here today, Liberty Glass is facing 200 people layoff, and then another layoff potentially for later on in the year. So I guess, how do we keep something from that happening again?
Well, to give you a little history on, you can't, those type things are going to happen with business. Libby Glass, a few years ago, they did a modernization project at that plant for a new furnace and that sort of thing out there. This latest announcement of the 200 layoffs, and I'm not speaking from my conversations with Libby Glass. I'm not, this isn't the official Libby Glass press release, if you will. They were making a product that had a low profit margin and a declining market for that product. It was basically beer mugs. You go to a restaurant now, if you drink beer, chances are you aren't getting it out of a mug, you're getting it out of a pint glass. So that was, that was a situation to where, do they continue making that low margin good in a declining market segment and jeopardize their company as a whole and the jobs that we do have out there? or do they discontinue that line? So that was a business decision on their part. Of course, it hurts anytime we lose jobs in the parish or anyone is displaced, but businesses are in business to make money, and that's kind of the harsh reality of it. I will say this, one thing I was impressed with Libby Glass in particular, is the way they continue the health care benefits for their employees and some of the other things they did to those displaced workers. A lot of companies would not have done that, and I'm not here saying, Libby Glass is one thing or another. I will say I do personally admire them for looking out for those displaced workers in the manner they did. They did more than they had to do.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, basically, if a company says that they're going to make an announcement to keep a company in existence or modernize something, do you do any research besides this going by what they put out as a press release?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at their financial history and their filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission to sort of get a picture of where they are financially. Libby Glass, for instance, 5 or 6 years ago, their stock was trading at less than $2 per share. Now it's over $19 per share. So you can look at some of the things they've done as a company to shore up their finances. There's only 2 manufacturing facilities for Libby Glass in the United States, here at their home office in Toledo. We had the head of their manufacturing here last week. Monday was a week ago, we were with them. So we've got, as a community, we've got a good relationship with Libby Glass. 2 days before that announced, they called us and let us know it was about to happen, so we'd be prepared for it. So my business isn't a lot different than yours. I mean, it's a relationship business. And fortunately, my office has developed some good relationships with our local companies.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner yesterday.
Oh, again, I just want to thank you for your work. It seems to me that you're representing 13 parishes now, so you're in the past, the mission was basically to try to get new business and new industry, particularly manufacturing, into this region. And I guess a lot of that's done through trade shows and reading magazines and all, but a lot of it is just a company deciding it wants to expand and sending out information for proposals to see what the best deal they can get. So a lot of what you do and your primary focus in the past, I guess, has been on reacting to inquiries of people showing interest in things. And this is leading up to speak to Mr. Epperson's thing as far as the retail thing. That, to me, and I'm not an economic developer, but I just know how a lot of this stuff works. Most of that is these companies don't really send out requests to say, what can you do for us? They look at sheer numbers, income, and demographics. If it's Chili's restaurant, for example, and said, yeah, we can put one here because this is our formula, it meets our formula. So rather than, unless they come to us for the retail end, we really have to go out there and specifically promote our specific area, our parish, our city, and say we're worth looking at if you haven't looked at. So we kind of have to pursue those leads more than on the manufacturing and industrial side, where a lot of them come to you because they're wanting to see who will give them the best deal. Is that kind of not basically, in a nutshell, how the two are different?
Retail is a different animal, but you have to package your information in some instances to a higher level of detail with the retailers. For instance, if they're looking at drive time demographics, that's a little different than doing a 5 or 10 mile radius demographic study. I mean, unless you know the transportation infrastructure, you're not going to know how quickly it takes to get to a point on a map. So now we've got the capability to do that. We've got Claritas and Nielsen that we can do drive times and all sorts of mapping that we haven't had.
Well, it's important, and specific, and that based on concentration of population. It can give them an idea of what kind of saturation they can have if there are multiple franchises. The classic example of something that blows my mind is the Uri Drive corridor and 70th Street there, and there's a Starbucks in the Barnes and Noble, and there's one
Kroger.
in the Kroger, and there's one in the Target, and there's a freestanding store across the street, and there's another one somewhere. And you can damn near hit a baseball at every one of them from this location. And I'm just going, how does this work?
And you're standing in line at all of them.
Yeah, there's a line at all of them. So there's so it's more than that. And I guess the point that I wanted to clarify that up is what I want to point out to my colleagues here. That we need to go ahead and step up our efforts in deciding what we're going to do as a body to foster economic development, whether it's pursue, the completion of CETA with the city council, which from what I understand, most councilmen offer to me that they're interested in completing and getting that done so we can focus specifically on going out and attracting especially retail to this area specifically for Caddo Parish and the city of Freeport, and letting you continue to facilitate and aid us in these other endeavors, but also since you're having to represent 13 parishes, it's not as targeted as we are.
Yeah.
I'll ask you one final question. I want to ask you a question. When you said you are looking into EB5, I think the only other EB5 that I'm aware of, Mr. Child, Norm can tell me if I'm wrong, is New Orleans. Is the only one that has one, I think, in the state. Is that correct?
No, you're about 5.
That's correct.
It's New Orleans.
That's correct.
Are y'all looking at the possibility to set up a regional one for the region, the 13 parishes you serve, or were you looking at just for?
We haven't even gotten that far.
Hadn't even gotten that far?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll probably look to hopefully include you in our further discussions, and because we're considering that at this time.
Look, I think it's a great program. Whether I think it's a good program. I think it's a viable program. Who does it? That's as long as it's done and done effectively.
Well, there's a lot of competition. Our competitors are doing it. If you have the resources to do it, it's another tool in the box, like you said. And if you look at strictly on that basis, yeah, it's a good program. Whether or not you want to say, buying citizenship a good deal, I don't know. But, hey, that's a whole nother matter. But anyway.
Yeah, you owe me 4 acres and a mule.
I'll give you 40 acres and an Escalade. Nobody has a mule anymore.
Y'all owe me. Pay me. I want mine.
Anyway, I want you to know, I'm happy to have you here. You've got a lot of energy, and as much as I miss Kurt Foreman, I like having you here, maybe better. Thank you.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes, first, Commissioner Everson, thank you for your thoughts on the Hearst Coliseum. Of course, that's located at 5, and I appreciate you bringing it up. I've met with Chris over the years in reference to the upkeep and to try to see what we could do to revitalize that Coliseum. And of course, it's state-owned, and it was just very difficult for him to even try to get any money from the state. With the last conversation I had with him, however, because you did bring that up, I'd certainly like to be informed about the meeting that you have with him. I would appreciate being informed about that.
Okay.
While I'm at it, I might as well say this. I
Yes,
know
ma'am.
I'm not able to attend a lot of the meetings like I would like to because of my treatments, but I still have my wits about me, and I talk to my constituents constantly. They still call me, mainly about city matters, because I'm an urban commissioner. But even this past Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I made at least 1,000 calls to people in various precincts in my district, asking them for a yes vote for the Caddo Parish school tax renewals. And so I'm in contact with, my constituents anytime they need me. But I would like to be informed about your meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I will.
No one else? Thank you so much, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay. Mr. Baker, we have a quick update on legislative priorities, couple. Then we'll proceed with our agenda after that.
I just want to be real brief and let y'all know, as you know, we've been following two bills. One is the bill on the Shreveport-Bossier Tourist Commission, or Sports Commission, and Independence Bowl funding, and as you know, that bill is no longer viable. The other local bill pertaining to Elio Motors is just awaiting passage on the Senate floor, which we think is in pretty good shape, so I think that bill will be sent to the governor's office probably later this week. There's a bill that we're following, House Bill 328, which well, I'm sorry. There's a bill that I'm gonna get it right here in a minute. There's a Senate bill that y'all are opposed to that would decrease the retirement benefits to existing parochial employees, retirement system employees. That bill has been amended to where it only applies to one retirement system, not ours. I will tell y'all, just for what it's worth, that I sat through the hearing on that bill in the House committee a few weeks ago, Senate committee a couple of weeks ago, and learned a lot about the parochial employees retirement system. And then those of y'all that were down at the Police Jury Association day at the legislature last week heard a presentation from Dana Tully, the director. The state has some serious problems with its retirement systems, as you know, but the parochial system is not one of those. The parochial system is a piece of good news for the state retirement systems. It's Plan B, which is a smaller plan that pertains only to employees also covered by Social Security, is 100% actuarially funded. As of December, as the end of 2011, larger Plan A that all of our employees are in was funded to the tune of almost 99%, and with the stock market's appreciation since then, they're pretty confident that when the 2012 actuarial report comes out that it'll be 100% funded, and so they're now projecting in the next few years that the parishes will start seeing decreases in the employer contributions. So that's some good news. And the only other thing I'll say is there were a couple of Senate bills that would have, that at my recommendation, y'all opposed them. They would have put sales tax, they would have imposed sales taxes on some very expensive medical procedures done in offices of doctors. And I found out later, after I made that recommendation, that there's already an exemption for that, for those medicines in Caddo Parish. And so when the bills came up for hearing, I made sure that Senator Adley, who was the local representative, knew that that the bills had no effect in Caddo Parish. And I just got an email this afternoon that those two bills were basically defeated and turned into a study resolution for next year anyway. So all in all, the bills that y'all are opposed to, I don't see anything going through that right now that would have any significant adverse impact on us. I think it's turned out to be a good legislative session for y'all. I think that we're almost halfway through the legislative session, and the legislature's obviously fixing to start focusing on their budget problems. So we'll keep monitoring things, but unless y'all have any questions as to the report, I apologize to you for not having a written report like I try to do every Friday, but we've had some technical issues with the lady that does those for us, so you'll probably get a written report tomorrow.
Commissioner Lynch? Thank you. Well,
Are y'all through with it? Are you through with your report?
Not yet, ma'am. I have a couple more items I need to cover.
Okay, I'll wait till you finish for my
Commissioner Williams?
No, I'll let him finish. I need to ask him. I want to ask about the Senate bill concerning the juvenile justice, Senator Tarver bill. What is the status of the bill? Actually, what does it really represent?
Fins.
You don't know the number of it.
The one that dealt with fins that I think it was the one that I was asking about last time, and y'all said y'all were going to get with Clay. I briefly talked to Judge Young about it, but I see Clay coming up.
Clay, are you familiar with it?
22B.
227.
And
Oh,
then
227.
I want to know the update on the Wells Island Road grant. Did you have anything on that?
Okay, I haven't heard anything from, but I'll check.
My understanding is that it's in committee. It actually comes up tomorrow in Judiciary B. Senator Tarver's bill. You can actually view that, of course, on the internet. They stream that live. It's a strange bill. It essentially says that there is no formal truancy in juvenile court, and it changes what FINS is. Families in need of services, generally ungovernable, runaway. Think 14-year-old boy who's physically outgrown, single mom. She says, you got to be home at 10 o'clock, and he says, or what? That's what FINS is. And now, if that's referred in Caddo, it goes informally to Volunteers for Youth Justice. There's about 1,500 referrals a year there. And then about 100 of those go poorly enough that they get referred to juvenile court, and now they got a probation officer and a judge, and it's more serious. So they handle the majority in an informal way, but they do have the formal. What this does is it removes the formal. It simply says FINS would only be a crime under the age of 10, a child that's incompetent to stand trial, and only a child who is a physical threat to his or her caretaker. The runaways, the ungovernables, all that would have to be dealt with only in the informal way. My understanding of this bill, the reason it's being brought forward, a lot of juvenile justice reform that's come to the state, MacArthur Foundation, Annie Casey Foundation, they say that the formal cases, if you take a truant or you take a FINS case and you bring them through juvenile court, that we may actually do more damage than we do good. You take that 14-year-old who's physically outgrown mama, but we put him in detention next to an armed robber. And there is a negative effect. And that's the reason the bill is brought, is because they're concerned about the negative effect on those that come through juvenile court. The people that are opposed to the bill are concerned because it takes away the real authority, it takes away the stick. And to some extent, and it's your own personal philosophy, everybody has to decide basically where you come down on it, but the problem is that the 1,400 that are dealt with informally through VYJ may be effectively dealt with because they don't want to come to court. And if you take that away, maybe those 1,400 don't have the threat hanging over their head, and maybe that's less effective. It's tough. It is correct that the informal FINS and the truants that come through our system get caught up in the system, and they probably do have some interaction with kids that are a little further down the wrong path. In Caddo, we try to minimize that as much as possible. We've put VYJ in place so that those 1,400 don't ever have to come to court. We try to deal with it as informally as possible. We do not have, the FINS that come into the detention are separate from the delinquency kids. If you come by and visit and you see a kid sitting in the cafeteria, he's probably a FINS kid. We try to keep them separated, but it's difficult. It's a difficult situation. I've heard the bill was going to pass. It was the governor's, the governor was supporting it, and then I've also heard from other folks that it's dead in the water and sitting in committee and nothing's going to happen with it. So no predictions along those lines. We are tracking it every day. I'll be watching the testimony tomorrow, and we'll have to see what the outcome is.
I guess my final question is.
Absolutely.
What, Commissioner Bowman?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Senator Tarver talked
Hold
to
on. Hold
No,
on.
Ms. Bowman,
You wasn't
no
there.
ma'am, Ms. Bowman. No,
I'm sorry, I'm apologizing.
no, Ms. Bowman, go ahead.
Okay.
Has Senator Tarver talked to you about this? Has he met with you at all?
No, ma'am.
And of course, if this does happen, is there any state money that's going to follow this, or is it another unfunded mandate?
It's not an unfunded mandate, except that it's an unfunded permission. What it says is that the parish, and it doesn't say who in the parish, it just says the parish can create a truancy assessment center, like what we used to have with TASC. And it says that if you do have a TASC center, you should do all these things if there's state money. At the very, very end of the whole bill, it says all of these things apply if you get state funding. I know of no funding that's been set aside for that. We had several folks come to Caddo this was several months back, where we tried to talk about truancy funding with Miss Gewen, Cecile Gewen. We tried to talk about whether or not we might be able to get some state funding back for truancy. But as far as I know, there's no plans for that. I mean, they're not adding on the expenditure side, they're cutting it.
Take it
So.
away.
Commissioner Williams, go ahead, please.
No, go ahead and speak. I'll clean it up.
What, Clay, so out of the 100, let's say just the 100, the 14-year-old boy that just tells mama no, if this bill passes, what would you be able to do with him then? Would he go into the truancy center that you're talking about would be set up, or what would be the options to do with him?
In reality, what happens is, so VYJ gets 1,500 kids. They meet with the 1,400, they give them a plan, and most of the time it works pretty well, those 1,400.
Right.
The 100 where it doesn't work, they refer them to us, and we've got lower caseloads so we can address it more aggressively. If they don't have that, a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to see more children probably arrested for assault and battery. They're getting into a little scuffle at home. Right now it's being referred as offense. Instead, they're just going to arrest them. So you're going to see possibly an increase in that. And you're going to see, optimistic or pessimistic, it depends on which way you go. If things are good, the child's going to mature out of it, or they're going to find something in the community, the church or something that's going to help them out. The negative side is they're going to grow about a year older, and then we'll see them in delinquency.
So there's not a whole lot you could do with them then. I mean, in other words, that 14-year-old, he's either going to get arrested and go ahead and get charged with a crime versus being in fins, or he's not going to the court system because the court system can't really do anything.
They literally could not be petitioned. They couldn't be coming into court. So it's going to have to be handled in the community by whatever informal system, the church, the whatever there is that we could connect the mother to, the family to, that sort of thing.
Unless he'd be charged with a crime.
Unless there's some way they could charge him with something, which if they came in, it probably would be handled basically in the exact same way.
Yeah.
They would just have, instead of a fins record, they'd have a delinquency record. We'll make adjustments and handle it either way. There's good side and bad side to both sides. There are cases of fins or truancy where we maybe make it worse, doing our best with good intentions, but we maybe make it worse. I think there's a bigger downside if it passes, which is that we don't know what happens if that stick goes away. That's more of a concern of mine if that goes away. So we'll have to see.
But just keep us informed on what's going on with that, if you don't mind.
I'm going to track it as much as I can. Like I say, it'll be in on tomorrow. Laurie McGehee will actually have to be here Thursday, so she'll be fully informed on it. But as it plays out over the next several months, if it goes into effect, I'll update you and see what changes come to Caddo.
Thank you.
I'm pretty confident between the communication with SPD, sheriff, our judges, and ourselves, we'll make some adaptations that'll be in the best interest of public safety, number one, and the kids, number two.
Thank you, Clay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that I appreciate your, I don't know, I guess Caddo don't know how bad you are to the juvenile justice system here. The support service that you have instituted have reduced the citizen rate, and those kids don't turn back, come back into the system. Those kids that are in the truancy or BYJ, they have a great program already. So it really don't make sense to mix those kids in with hardcore criminals. You make them more career criminals headed straight down the pipe. So definitely want to be informed of how the outcome of this bill comes out. It seems like it's doing more harm than doing more help. They don't send no money to help. They just send rules and regulations and laws, unfunded mandates on local bodies. What we got is working already. Matter of fact, I think what we have should be the model for the rest of the state. Based on coming back from the Juvenile Justice Conference, we should be proud of what's going on here in Caddo. You look at the number, the recidivism rate is down. So I just want to commend you guys for what you're doing and helping to come up with these community and faith-based services in our program. So you and Cox and Ms. Laura and all you guys, I've enjoyed what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Baker, you all have received a letter from Mr. Eric England at the port, which speaks to Mrs. Bryant's terms coming to an end in June next month. And I'm sending my support and recommending to you all that you reappoint her. She has done a great job, and she's currently the president of the Port Commission in her second term.
What?
Yes, she is the president, Madam President. And she's done a great job, and I just really appreciate if you allow her to continue serving that position to do a great job for the Caddo Parish Commission. The second item, you all asked me to reach out to the congressional delegation and send letters out asking what we could do to help with sequester issues coming before the Congress. We're currently in now. I received a letter back from Congressman Flemings, and I sent you all a copy of that letter. The others have yet to respond. Also, I just want to make you aware that the summer employment program will be starting soon. And if you all be so kind enough to, your recommendations is to get it to us by May 20th, so we can take them through the process, because it's supposed to start 1 June. Now give us an opportunity to get them through the screening process and get those necessary things done that we have to get done administratively.
What will their job be?
We will place them, we'll try to match their skill set to a department function.
Okay.
If they're designed to do administrative work, we will try to point them in that direction.
And each one of us recommend one person?
Yes, ma'am. I think that's what you all had talked about.
What's the age?
It's, they can be in high school.
It's on the phone.
17?
Yeah.
17.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the form is pretty detailed. If you need a copy, we can provide that as well. And just one other parenthetic point I'd like to raise, that I did receive a subpoena for court tomorrow dealing with the dog park case. And what they asked me to provide is the records from the commission. And Todd did give me a copy of the minutes and the resolution we passed. So I will probably be presenting that tomorrow at the appropriate time in court concerning the litigation going on with the mayor over the dog park. And I think that concludes my report, ma'am.
Commissioner Epperson?
So we finished, we can ask the administration a question?
Yeah.
Would you send a copy of the response you received on the sequester letter to the Police Jury Association?
I did already.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
On the Port Commission spot, can commissioners serve? Or has that been tabooed by that ethics law? On the Port Commission spot
I
that Ms.
understand.
Bryant is in.
I will check on that and let you know no later than Thursday.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
But there's no elected officials currently, sir.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Lynch?
Okay, yes, just on that same thing, is this a 6-year? This is a 6-year term, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Is it 6 years? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, okay. All righty. I'll deal with that Thursday. My other question was on the, well, two things on the ELIO thing from the earlier meeting. I asked a question in that meeting about what commitment, had we made a commitment of $1 million to ELIO? And I believe the response came back, no, that, that we had not done that, and
Excuse me.
Bless you.
I want to make sure
Sorry.
that we are providing accurate information to the public. And in Resolution 6 of 2013, clearly spells out our intention to invest $1 million on a reimbursable basis on this particular project.
Okay.
Conditioned upon certain things happening. So I just want to clarify that.
Okay.
That we're not misleading the public when questions are asked by commissioners as to what our commitment was. I have it in front of me at the time.
Commissioner Lynch, what resolution is that, ma'am?
Resolution 6 of 2013, that in part says, now therefore it be resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission in doing regular legal session convened, that it does hereby intend to invest the sum of $1 million on a reimbursable basis in Ilio Motors project of producing motor vehicles in the former General Motors assembly plant located in Caddo Parish. Said intention conditioned upon the negotiation and execution of an appropriate cooperative endeavor agreement between Elio Motors and Caddo Parish, them obtaining the required legal and regulatory approvals, and Elio Motors' ability to secure satisfactory commitments for $9 million
Right.
of the required $10 million, and the formal appropriation by the Caddo Parish Commission of the said funds. Okay.
Okay.
So I hope that's the last misleading information that we give out on a question, specific question. The second question is, what specific information are we being asked to consider? Is it for equipment? Is it dollars? Is it, what is it that we're being asked to consider?
It's financial, ma'am.
Financial?
Yes.
Above the commitment that we have already?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. I think that was all my questions for you. Thank you.
Commissioner Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. My question regarding the MPC board, what are the terms of those board members on the MPC board?
I think they're 4-year terms.
The reason for asking, I was at a meeting here on last week regarding some meetings I had with some of the constituents of the district, and I had the opportunity to go before the MPC board, but I was a little late. I asked for the privilege to speak before the body, to suspend the rules. It's not unusual for a citizen to come before the body because they work later. Some may have came up to speak about an important issue in their particular district, in the district that I have the pleasure of serving in, about a major capital investment project with the Shreveport Housing Authority. They had 2 cases on the docket. And I asked for the privilege to speak before this body, this government body, the democracy that we have, to suspend the rules, allow an individual to speak. And they denied me that opportunity here in Shreveport at our MPC body. Out of all the members we appointed, only one allowed me the opportunity to speak, and that was Commissioner Young. I think oftentimes we appoint people on board and they don't really know why they serve. They serve at the pleasure of the people that's appointed. You're not asking for any special privilege or special favor, or not trying to strong arm anybody or intimidate anyone, but anyone that comes before that body ought to have the opportunity to speak in a public body. I thought it was unfair and it was an injustice and a step backward in democracy in Shreveport. And I hope that in the future, when we do appoint people, that they will be sensitive to people in a community, any citizens, regardless of who they are. They all had the opportunity to speak on something pertaining to someone in the district. And unfortunately, I think we need to always reconsider how we appoint these people. They're not that sensitive. Something wrong with them. Something wrong when you don't allow a individual, a public person to speak on something regarding their district. I just happen to be an elected official too at the same time. But I came in a citizen capacity, concerned about something in our district. Unfortunately, I was denied that opportunity. And I hope that in the future, when we appoint these people in the future, we'll take it into consideration. Secondly, members, you received an email from me regarding the Swag Nation Next Class. And those of you that may have young boys in your district that are at risk or delinquent, the time that you can make their referral would be, I think, May the 9th. The last date you can get those referrals in. So those of you that have someone in your district that would like the opportunity to come through the program, you have at least 2 members you can invite from your district to open it up to the commission as well. And I'm excited about the second class being at Praise Temple Full Gospel Cathedral would be May the 9th on next week at 5:30, and look forward to Commissioner Michael Thibodeau, ex-teacher, coming in, telling us somebody's old school training to help these young boys and maybe talk to some of the parents. I'm hard to put them on bulletproof vests on if we're talking about them parents now. So look forward to you coming along, sharing your professionalism for this group. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Thibodeau?
We tore down a house last week on General Bradley, which we had been trying to get torn down for 2 or 3 years.
Yes, sir.
And I understand that the day after we tore it down, we found out that some guy had bought it at tax sale. And I'm wondering, how did that happen? And how do we stand because we tore it down, even though I would imagine that guy would have had to tear it down also.
Right.
But what, can we get some information on that?
Yes, sir. James, would you come forward and kind of give me this, Commissioner Thibodeau, what you told me last week, please?
Yes, sir. It did happen. The gentleman bought it at a tax sale in June. We started this process in July. The tax records, we did a title search. No names or anything picked up on it. He didn't appear until recently in the tax assessor's rolls, but the commission had already condemned the house. We had already let the contract out, and we just by chance found out that he did, and I called him as a courtesy call to let him know what was going on with this property. The gentleman had no idea where the property was. He had never seen it. I had to tell him how to get to it, and he's made no attempt in the year that almost year that he's had it, or he bought a tax interest in it, made any efforts to do anything as far as cleaning it up.
And James, it's been $240 to buy it?
Yes. He just interest, he doesn't own the property or anything. Around town, what happens, many people buy properties, goes up for tax sale in the hopes that the owners will come back and redeem it, pay them what they're paid plus a little small interest.
Okay, I mean, is that typical for, this evidently happened in the tax sale in 2012, for the tax assessor to take almost a year?
From what I can understand, Commissioner, that's about a normal routine.
So, from now on, when we do tear down property, can we contact the tax assessor to see if since the last tax sale, if there's, if this exists, this is something that's not in the public record yet?
We can check.
I would think in this case, even had he bought 100% of the interest, he would have still had to tear the property down. It would just have taken us longer to get it torn down.
That's correct.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. But
we followed all the procedures that we had at that particular time.
okay, well, can we add that one to check with the tax assessor to see?
Yes, sir.
If maybe
it's not a problem.
It's not a public record yet.
It's not a problem. We can always
Thank
make
you.
that check.
Are we gonna have any repercussions from this guy for tearing that house down?
Not that I'm aware of. We probably did him a favor, ma'am, because we have pictures of that house. And that house was totally unserviceable, unlivable, and should have been torn down a long time ago. So we actually improved the property by tearing this house down.
If the commission remembers, this is better known as the Snake House.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else?
Commissioner Bowman, to further answer your question, I talked to the gentleman, I mean, we had a constructive conversation. I told him that once Ms. Frazier gets back in town, which will be tomorrow, that we're going to look over the procedure. But that I pointed out to him that I wasn't sure he had a claim against us at all because of the tax sale nature of his interest. We're going to have one more conversation with him, is all I can say. And I told him if we found out that we had a situation that where we damaged anything, we would deal straight up with him. But that right now, I didn't think we did. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Dominic?
Yeah, I asked you a little bit about this about a month or so ago. I don't know if you remember, just talking about the notice procedures. Because if he bought it at a tax sale, it would have been on public record. Might not have been what the tax assessor had him assessed at, but it would have been in public record, wouldn't it? I mean, when you buy a tax sale, when they record it, it is on public record. So, I don't know. We need to look at that a little bit better. The one thing I had was, and I don't want this done today, but I was just asking, could we get a report from Ken maybe Thursday or the following week on the utility district, just an update where we are. Haven't heard anything about that, and hopefully we're getting close to winding all that up.
Okay.
That's it?
That's all I had.
Okay. I have a question for Mr. Dumache.
Okay, James, would you come back, please?
I noticed you sent a letter out to Mr. Ewing about almost a month ago. Have you heard from him?
Yes, ma'am. He sent a response back that, matter of fact, I sent him 2 letters about several pieces of property. He's indicated that on the swimming pool, he's going to crack the foundation and fill it in completely. He's repaired the rear fence or rear gate to the property. He has cut the grass, and he's supposedly in the process of finishing up. Now, whether he does that or not,
How long does he have?
well, I can only go by the ordinance, and I'll notify him in 30 days to do a follow-up inspection and see where he is. And if he doesn't comply with the things that he stated, I'll eventually bring him back to the Property Standards Board.
What day are you supposed to do the inspection?
The inspection should be done next week.
Next week.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you let me know after you do the inspection what you find?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And one of the things I want to make a statement right now is our process has been running fairly well for 14 years. The question is, are we going to start adding layers to delay the process even longer?
When you say adding layers, what do you mean?
Well, the simple thing is that we're going to start adding extra checks. We did a title search that cost us the parish money. Each time, will I do a title search 2 or 3 times?
That's an attorney question.
Again, Commissioners, y'all are asking the same questions I asked, but obviously, we're going to review the process. Mr. Dominic is correct that any sale is a public record once the instrument's filed with the clerk of court. And what I'm hearing about this case is we sent a notice out to someone 8 months after a tax deed was signed, and I presume a number of months after it was filed a record in the courthouse. So we may have something, we may need to revise our procedures. All I can tell you is it's something that we're going to work on and come to an early determination if we need to do something.
Well, certainly I can agree with you on that. Our procedures need to be revised. How much are you doing the research to go and find out before you actually condemn properties?
Yes, ma'am. Our ordinance requires us to go to the tax records to, we added, recently we started adding in the title searches and everything, and that takes back however long it takes the title company to come back with it. So each time we add something different, it takes just that much longer.
So where was this information that you couldn't find it?
Well, once the tax assessor finally update their records, then I can pull it up. But
So it's based on the
and
records not being updated by
Commissioner
the tax
Dominic has
assessor.
stated that it's records. Which public records am I supposed to be checking?
Well, I mean, you should know your job, but if you look at conveyance records, that's where it is. In conveyance record, the tax assessor takes about 6 months, 8 months to put whose new name it is. They just run a little bit behind. And you can go talk to tax assessor about that, but in the conveyance records is where the tax deeds are recorded. And I would think anybody who had any interest on that property, whether it be a mortgage, judgment, or lien, needs to be notified of potential interest. That's just...
That's right. We'll take a look at that.
Commissioner Epperson, is this something that comes under your committee?
Yeah.
No, I think that's a
Policy
policy
procedure?
issue.
Okay. We're going to take this issue to policy procedure,
Yeah.
Mr. Dumache, and see about getting some changes made.
Let's make, we'll take a thorough look at it,
Yeah,
man.
the administration.
We'll take a look at it.
Administration will take care of it.
We'll handle it.
Yeah. that-
Okay.
Charles will.
Erica, when will our financials be ready for us for this year? For
The audit?
2014?
The audit,
Yeah,
end of June.
end of June. And then how long after that before we start meeting on them?
You mean meeting on the 2014 budget? We start the budget process in August.
I can't hear you.
We start the budget process in August.
Okay. So you're gonna get us the information at the end of June when they're ready?
Right, the 2012, the auditors will be here Monday.
Okay, good deal. Well, as soon as it gets ready, will you give us a copy?
Sure.
Thank you. Commissioner Lynch?
I'm sorry, I had a couple more things. I missed Jennifer already. I missed Jennifer. What's going on with that particular position? Are we going to get somebody else?
We have opened it up for advertising internally. It opened up last Friday and will close on this coming Friday.
Okay, it's on the website?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
You sure?
I'm not 100% sure, no.
This should be, ma'am.
Is it on the website, Erica? Randy, leave Erica alone so she can hear me, my question.
It is on the website.
The internal posting goes on the website, yes.
Is this one on for the clerk's office?
That one is, yes, it should be on the website.
You looking at it?
No.
Okay.
It's not on there.
Check, please.
But it may, I mean, because it's not for, the external public can apply for that particular.
Right, but it's internal. I know, I've seen, okay. The other thing I wanted to request is when there are committee meetings, that if there are documents handed out at the meetings, if, you know, for commissioners that are either not here or don't make the meeting or not on the committee or whatever the situation is, that if those documents could be put in our mailbox, please, because I'm just getting some of the information from one of the meetings, and it would have been helpful if I had had it in time. And the other question I had, Ms. Bryant, on the job postings, is there I was looking for it, I don't know if I just missed it or if it's not there, is there a mechanism for us to get job postings by email? Like with the city, you can sign up and they send you all the, you know, whenever they have a job posting. Do we have that on our website?
I'm not sure that we have that set up, but
You
we
want
can
us to
see
include
it.
the commissioners of what you're asking for?
No, I think she's saying that somebody can register on the website and be notified when a job posting comes available. We don't currently have that set up, but we can research as to whether.
Can we look, I don't really want to have a meeting on some stuff, but can we look at, you know, what the city is doing in terms, and of course they have, I know, way more jobs than we do, but it's just access. That it's another avenue that people can utilize to have access, community groups or whoever, to know, you know, when there are opportunities for employment with the parish.
Yes, ma'am. We can.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
In response to Commissioner Williams, on the term limits for the board appointees, I have spoken with Commissioner Lynch, who is the committee chair for policy and procedures, to look at the terms of the boards of the people that we are appointing, and possibly look at making some changes. Just waiting to hear from her.
They can let you talk.
I like to start the day getting rid of.
Commissioner Bowman.
Yeah, one,
State law.
one thing.
Hello? Attention, please. Go ahead.
Erica, you were appointed in June of '06, right?
Correct.
And if I remember correctly, of course, I was serving on the commission at that time. That was right before I went to the council. And it was a lot going on with their financial reporting that they didn't bring back to us. And if I remember correctly, I made the recommendation that we appoint you to that board so that you could come back and report to us if anything kind of crazy was going on.
Great
Do you?
So that was a great appointment.
I mean, since it was financial problems that they were having and issues that they were not informing us about. I think they even did something as far as rolling over taxes and all that kind of stuff, and we didn't know about any of what their plans were until at the last minute.
Commissioner, my understanding at the time was that there was some information in relation to companies getting the tax exemption, the property tax, and that you all felt like you were not notified in
We
in
were
certain
not. I
instances.
remember it was something that was going on, and we wanted somebody from here
Correct, and we have...
to go and speak, to be a part of that, who could keep us informed.
Correct. When we have, we get those notifications, and I have provided you all with periodic reports on the issues that the port is addressing. They have not had financial issues. It was more of when a company has, is getting a property tax exemption. And so we've been notified of those, and again, I've been making periodic reports to you all of the issues that the port is addressing.
Okay. That was basically, I just want to kind of refresh my own memory as far as that was concerned. It's been, you know, quite some time. Another thing, I just want to well, I'll wait till we under communicates because we're still under administrative report. I'm finished.
Commissioner Escaday.
Just to tag along on what Commissioner Bowman said, as I recall, your appointment to the board was based on our concern due to what I consider a flaw in the law that chartered the port, which gave them the authority to abate parish property taxes without our approval. Everybody remembers that, which they can and still do, and I don't think they have done since you've been there.
No, when we meet with companies now, we clearly state that we cannot make promises on behalf of the taxing bodies. I think in the past, there may have been certain promises made to companies without communicating to the bodies that that has been stated. So now, when they go into negotiations, it's clear that they have no, while you can petition the bodies for certain exemptions, we cannot tell you that that would happen.
Right, but they still have the authority.
They do have the
to
authority.
abate parish taxes without our approval. And if that's not shocking enough, then let me remind you of what I think most of you already know, that what we have is appointed, not elected officials abating taxes, and half of those officials are abating taxes in this parish, and they're not even appointed or live on this side of the river. So you talk about a messed up law. Anyway,
yes.
That's all I have to say.
That's it. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Have communication committee reports.
Commissioner Epperson.
Veterans Weekend Celebration Committee meeting for 2013, Thursday, May 30th, 10 a.m. in the large boardroom. That's all I have.
Commissioner Bowman.
Yeah, there will be a blood drive this coming Saturday at 4129 Mervine. Life Share will be there, and it's basically in my name, but it doesn't benefit me directly, but it will benefit others at that point. And certainly anyone who would be interested in donating. There are a lot of people with low platelet counts and in need of blood. And if you have the time and you're able to do that, it's this coming Saturday at 11, and that's in Commissioner Stephanie Lynch's District 7, in good old Moortown.
That Saturday?
Yes.
I wonder, I guess Cinco de Mayo will be out of my system by then. Margaritas.
I just hope they take mine. Now they turn me down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We did have attempted to have an Economic Development Committee meeting today to do an update on the EDL Motors. So we will be getting some further information out on the update on EDL Motors this week. So especially if anyone have any questions, you can talk to either myself or administration, and we'll get you updated on what's going on. EDL Motors. Any other communication reports?
Madam, you know, Mr. Chong been sitting out there for a while. Let's spin the room, let him come up and speak. He probably have some on the agenda.
Okay.
It is? Okay, move him up.
And I have no president's report.
Let's get on
We
with it.
have no old business, we move to new business. Authorized introduction of ordinance number 5308 of 2013 to set the general purpose millages and special purpose millages for millage rate adjustments as allowed by Article 7, Section 23 of the Louisiana Constitution, levying and imposing taxes and assessments for 2013.
Move to Monday.
Thursday. Thursday. Where you at, man? You been sitting next to me too much.
Too much Cinco
It's
de
been
Mayo.
Yeah,
moved
Smith over there.
and second, moved by Commissioner Escaday, second by Commissioner
Smith
Dominic.
plays that.
Commissioner Lynch.
Yes, are these rolling forward or back? What are these represent?
The roll forward process, Commissioner Lynch, occurs every 4 years. You all rolled back to your millages last year. These are adopting the same millage rates you adopted last year.
Same ones. Okay, so, we'll be doing the same thing then until these run out.
Correct, until you face the roll forward process again, the roll forward, roll back process again in the next 4 years.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more discussion? If not, please vote. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorized introduction of ordinance 5309 of 2013, setting the parish millage for the purpose of paying principal and interest due in 2013 on outstanding parish bond issues, and instruct tax assessor to include millage on tax roll Caddo Parish for the year 2013.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch, second by Commissioner Bowman. Are there any discussion? If not, please vote. That passes. Next item.
Authorized introduction of ordinance number 5310 of 2013 to adopt the values fixed and to be fixed by the Louisiana State Tax Commission on all assessments for railways and other public service corporations.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch, second by Commissioner
But I would like a
Bowman.
more explanation on Thursday. I'm gonna read my material here, but I would.
Are there any discussion? If not, please vote. That passes. Next
Madam
item,
President, could I
Mr.
get
Clerk.
who was the second on that?
Commissioner Bowman?
Bowman.
I just want to be sure. Thank you.
I think none work.
Yeah.
Authorized introduction of ordinance 5311 of 2013, setting the assessments for property classified as timberlands and instruct the tax assessor to include said assessment on the tax roll for 2013.
So moved, Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Dominic. Are there any discussion?
I have a question. Do
Commissioner
we know
Lynch?
how much is collected from Caddo Parish? Timberlands in Caddo Parish?
I can get that number for you. I don't have it.
Do we know what the state uses the money for?
The money is used for the purpose of the timberlands. It's in the, and each taxing body has adopted a rate of 8 cents.
Right, but it says the revenue tax is paid to the Louisiana Forestry Commission. What do they do with that money is what I want to know. I want to know how much we get, how much they collect in Caddo, and what do they do with the money?
I will give the...
Because what I'm seeing from the state is that they're beginning to push more responsibility back to the parish.
Yes.
But they don't want to share in none of this money that they're getting from us. And so, we need to start looking at where they're taking revenue from the parish. See if maybe at some point we can get some of, they can share some of it, since they seem to think that we need to share, with them, with, some of the cuts that they're making, and people are coming to us, wanting us to pick up that, whether that's juvenile or emergency preparedness or what have you. So I think any money that we're sending to the state, through, whatever, that we need to look at how much we're getting, how much we're sending to whatever entity from Caddo Parish, and then start to talk to our delegation about how we can, just like what Senator Landry is doing with the feds, where's our share? Okay.
I will research that for you and have it for you Thursday.
Thank you.
Are there any more discussion? If not, please vote. That passes. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Zoning case number P213 in regard to ordinance number 5312 of 2013, 5720 Old Morrisport Road, property located on the north side of Old Morrisport Road, 100 feet east of Alaska Lane. 49 Development LLC applicant Request to rezone from RA Residential Agriculture District to R1D Urban One-Family Resident District to permit single-family housing.
Move it Thursday.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Dominic. Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I'd like some background information on that. At least do it now or by Thursday. Okay.
No more discussion, please vote. That passes. Next item, Mr.
Zoning
Clerk.
case number P413 in regard to ordinance number 5313 of 2013. Metropolitan Planning Commission applicant request to amend section 54-658 of chapter 54 of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances to allow for manufacturing of alcohol beverages as used by right in both B3 and B4 zoning districts.
No motion?
Yeah, Michael moves and I second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Escaday. Commissioner Lynch.
I have a question. Is somebody in the NPC?
Yeah.
Oh, Stephen. What was the vote on this by the board?
I believe this was unanimous, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Would this be retroactive or is it for cases going forward?
Well, the use by right would be in the district, so if someone wanted to come in and
No, I'm saying if it's, right now they have to be in an industrial area. And you're saying you wanted to go in B3 or B4,
Actually,
right?
what's already in these districts allows for the beverage manufacturer. What's different is it doesn't allow for alcoholic beverages.
Right. So I'm saying,
Right.
is that going to be, if I already have a B3,
Right.
will I be able to do this retro, or is it for applications that come in after a certain point?
If it's a use by right, and you decide that you're going to add beverage, alcoholic beverage, you could add it without a case. So if it's an existing business, and you're manufacturing beverages now, and you want to add alcohol, is that what you're asking?
Well, even if I'm a B3 and I may have some other business there,
Right.
and I decide I want to add, microbrewing or the manufacture of alcohol, would I be able to do that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so,
Because it's added as a use by right. Now, that is not on-premise consumption. It's just the manufacturer alone.
I understand, but when you're driving out of the drive-through at Thrifty, you got a tape over the top, but you're still drinking.
MPC.
I'm not, so basically, it's kind of like they're grandfathered in. All of the B3, B4, use by right, I'm saying.
Just becomes a
grandfathered
use
in.
by right. If you're B3,
You have it, if it's existing, you have an existing
if you have an existing B3,
designation, right.
and you want to add this, it depends. Now, there could be some differences if, let's say, if you're building a new building, they would have to come in for site plan
Site
approval, but
plan,
the
right.
use,
But the
the
use
use would be
itself.
there.
Okay, let me ask you this. Can you all do a B3 with an exception to allow the same thing as opposed to making it a use by right?
You could, instead of having use by right, to have a special exception, I believe that exists today. I think you can come, you
Right,
can
so,
ask for.
What's driving this to change it, and, that would keep people from,
Well, when you're looking at this, when you're manufacturing beverages, you're not going to really see any real external difference between an alcoholic beverage being manufactured and a non-alcoholic beverage being manufactured. It's almost invisible. You won't really know because it happens internally. So one would question, was the intent when the beverage manufacturer was laid down in the original ordinance, was the intent to exclude the alcohol in there or not? It doesn't appear that it is. So that's the question here, is that from the standpoint of a beverage manufacturer itself, there's not much difference externally. The impact is virtually the same.
and I understand what you're saying. I guess my concern is for people that already have a B3, if they start doing, alcoholic beverage manufacturing, and they don't have to come back before the MPC, they don't have to come before the commission. you know, that could be problematic in some of our communities. I mean, people now make, I forget what this drug is called, that keeps blowing up in people's houses. What is it?
Meth.
Crystal
Meth.
meth.
You know, I mean, you don't see that either.
Mhm.
I mean, you
I understand.
know, until something happens.
Right.
And so,
You're saying it's more appropriate in an industrial district?
absolutely.
Okay.
I'm just concerned, you know, that it's not something that's going to be taken on a case-by-case basis, as opposed to just being given a blanket right. You know, I have concerns about that. I don't know what's involved in making beer. You know, I drink vodka, but I don't drink beer. But you know, I mean, I guess there's probably potential for something to happen. So that's my concern. So I can't really support, I'm not gonna support it because I don't want to I don't want that monkey on my back with my constituents, okay? Thank you.
Dominique?
Steve, it says parish-wide. This is only applying to MPC district,
Correct.
but on our agenda, it says parish-wide.
Well, it's only within the
Okay.
planning limits because we don't have the
All right.
zoning law laid down
Okay, I just
beyond
want to make
that.
sure.
Right.
And then the next question is, on the actual ordinance, on our agenda, it says in both the B3 and B4 zoning districts, but when I'm reading I guess this ordinance, it actually in the body, it says the following uses are permitted in the B3 district subject to the conditions specified. It didn't say anything about B4.
Okay, I'll look into that. It's
And then
intended to be before.
line 13, it says, let's see, excuse me, not line 13, paragraph 13, line 42, it says beverage manufacturer, parentheses, not including alcohol.
Yeah, that's the way it reads today. This would change that.
Well, this is, I mean, we need the exact ordinance, don't we? We need to know how it's going to be voted on.
Okay.
Is that right,
I
Charles?
thought you had that in there.
I mean, am I looking at the old ordinance? Is that what I'm looking at? Do you know?
Yeah.
Charles? You see what I'm talking about?
I see exactly what you're talking about. I can't answer the question. I mean, it says ordinance number blank of 2013, so I thought it would be the new ordinance. But
I saw the same thing when I was preparing.
I mean, if we're doing what you're saying, that doesn't need to say not included alcohol, it needs to say including alcohol.
Correct.
It needs to say B4 too, if that's what we're doing.
Okay. We'll have all that ready for you by Thursday.
Commissioner, you finished?
I guess so. I don't know whether to support it yet or not. I'm still kind of thinking about it too. But are you saying the way I'm getting it is these microbreweries, this will allow them to operate the breweries in these areas? Is that the main purpose?
Yes. But it's not to allow any on-premise consumption.
I understand. Okay.
Commissioner Jefferson?
You recall the property that we rezoned on Greenwood Road where the gentleman's going to do the winery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Recall that a while back? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so that was an exception, allowing him specialty. Say, the sports mall, I think they started getting some tenants in the sports mall.
Okay.
You know, right on down the road there. I don't know if it has anything up, say a company went in there and got the B3 or the B4 to do, say, a sports beverage, you know, like one of these power drinks or something like that. Then would that allow them to make that transformation into alcoholic beverages also under this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, well, my only concern about that, you know, because you got all those other various business entities within that configuration, you know, I don't know if, you know, possibility of using alcohol or whatever, you know, it could be a safety hazard. So I would, that's what I'd be thinking about.
Is the concern mainly related to the B3 and not the B4?
Well, no, my concern is whatever you are zoned, I mean, this is my understanding, if you're zoned to make some kind of beverage, right? And this says manufacturing of alcoholic beverages as a use by right in both B3 and B4.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a company that located in that sports mall to do a sports drink, and that zoning was B3 or B4, if I'm understanding this right, then they would, under this, they would have the right to manufacture alcohol, right?
Correct.
Okay, and see, that's my problem with that in there. Maybe some tenants in there, you know, it could be a safety thing, I don't know. Yeah.
And so what I guess I'm asking is, does the B4, is that a problem to do that in B4? Or is it concerns mainly related to B3? Both?
Yeah, both, yeah. Because that's what you have listed here, the way I see it.
Industrial, I mean, it,
You on there?
I'm at.
Or you may be in a complex, that's all I have.
Commissioner
I'll bring you
Escudero.
back with additional information.
Stephen, this was brought forth, I guess, by the MPC as a result of having to grant an exception, I imagine, for the winery he's talking about, and this new microbrewery. These
We had one that was downtown in the B4.
kids are wanting to open up. Okay. All it would do was, it would just give them use by right, so they wouldn't have to, right now, they have to ask for an exception, correct?
That's correct.
And they're generally, in these cases, they were granted.
Yes, sir.
And this is not, hadn't been common in the past, but it's becoming more common, so I
Becoming
guess MPC was wanting to address it.
Yes, we're seeing just that industry alone, the
Okay, so it's
microbreweries.
just a
being more-
determination of the MPC that you'd rather clarify this up so you don't have to go through the exception process and to streamline your system. I would offer to my counterparts here that, you know, if you're worried about it and we don't do anything about it, I'm sure that they will address this in the UDC because it's going to come up and we'll just make it a point for them to come up and make a recommendation. Are you telling me that if I was in either one of these 3 or 4 business districts and I could open up and I had a facility, I could make O'Doul's?
In the B3 or B4, yes.
So
that's
I could
what
make
it was.
O'Doul's now without anything, right?
Oh, no,
But if I wanted to make
yeah,
Bud
right.
Light, I'd have to have my
Not
exception.
as familiar with the alcoholic beverages, but you're talking about.
O'Doul's,
O'Doul's is the
non-alcoholic beer,
non-alcoholic
got it?
beer,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
You're not.
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay, well, I'm Catholic, I'm a little familiar. Oh, okay, so you got these buildings here, one's making Gatorade, one's making O'Doul's, one's making this, and I mean, if you, they were all blank, the same color, no signs on the building, trucks would be coming in and out distributing the project, there'd be no resale on premises, no alcohol, and so it's not really hurting anything. Yeah, the whatever safety issues would be incurred or enforced and monitored by the fire marshals, you know. We can wait for the UDC study recommendation. I don't see a big deal with this at all. I see it as lightening their load, giving the MPC, the ZBA, one more less thing that they have to do, and one more issue that they'll have to deal with in the future where people can accuse them of being selective or arbitrary in their granting of variances. Thank you.
So what he was saying about the winery on Greenwood Road, that's what constitute you all to?
No, actually, it's more the microbreweries than anything else. You're just seeing more and more. I mean, we had 2 requests almost back-to-back for breweries. And I think we've also had a person come to us who's specializing in retailing of beer. And so you're kind of seeing a difference. And he did a very good presentation of what's happening in that industry. There's just it's something we anticipate we'll see a lot more of. And again, Mr. Escudero is right, as we can, you know, as we were going through the UDC process, we could deal with this issue. It's just something that we saw the opportunity to deal with it now, and we're, you know, seeing some pressure in B4, probably more than B3, but we did have a recent case that was on the fringe of the B4 that was in the B3 as well.
B3 and B4, that's not industrial, that's just business, right?
That the most intense retail district, I would call it a retail district, is primarily the B3. It's one step below the industrial.
Reason why I was thinking back to Commissioner Lynch asked you a question, if you had a B3, if you could be grandfathered in. One thing I was thinking about, I don't know if this was on her mind, is that in our districts, we have a lot of B3s and B4s. I mean, that's just opening up more cash places, you know, just like
You still have the opportunity in the site plan review to look at, placement of buildings and, if there's any buffers that are needed and things of that nature in a new facility. Where you wouldn't, if you have a manufactured facility who wants to add an alcohol line, you probably would not see any difference in that externally.
Let's ask one other question. How did this get on the agenda without a commissioner? I mean, NPC can put,
That's him.
It comes from the MPC, yes.
so a commissioner did not have to,
Not on our MPC ones, we don't usually have a sponsor.
okay.
It just tells what district it's from.
This originally started as a discussion on the city ordinance, and also decided, a lot of times what we'll be doing when we're dealing with city ordinances, we will also look at to see if because most of the parish ordinance mirror the city ordinance. So generally, when we have a request to move forward with an ordinance in the city ordinance, we go ahead and try to keep those as consistent as we can. So this originated as a city ordinance request.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think most of the question, but I'm so confused, I don't really know what I'm voting on. But I think it's an unfair business practice to have a B and an A together. And if we ever needed it, UDC code, we need it now. And apparently, we need an upgrade so bad, we're way behind time. That's why we have to make special exception to what we're doing, co-mingling and matching and patching our policy. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, should we go further on this, because there are so many unanswered questions. We don't need to make a knee-jerk reaction just because the city doing something. Something they do is good, and something that they do I don't think is not so good. But before I can make an intelligent decision, I haven't had a chance to read it until now. I don't know if I have enough time by Thursday to read it and make an intelligent decision. So I think we need to delay any action until we get all these questions answered, because I don't really know what I'm voting on. But I do think we need to be proactive in providing businesses that want to do business in our parish, in our city, with the opportunity to do business, but we need to have a structure on how to do it, and don't have to have one for this and one for that. We need to have one size that fit all. So I think we need a better cleaning up the language. Even Commissioner Dominic, who's an attorney, could not interpret what we had here. So I would hope that we would wait, don't move on it, and delay the action before we vote on this ordinance the Thursday. So I take it someone would make that a motion, I would second.
Commissioner Jones. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Jones.
Can I object? Tell him I did interpret that. Let me what I'm saying.
That's what tickled me.
Oh, he wrote it wrong.
Someone wrote it wrong.
I basically wanted to comment on this as well. I do believe that there does need to be a structure in place, because a company can apply for a B3 or B4 and do non-alcoholic beverages, and then come back and put alcohol in it, and by this time the tenants that are around them could oppose it, and then they won't have to come back in front of the NPC because it's fit within the footprints of the original building. And then you also have the residents that are around it that might not want that type of business in there. So therefore, I would say that I would be against it, because there's still not it's a loophole for convenience. I'm looking at it. It's convenience because the NPC is looking at do it this way, and now therefore people won't have to come back to them to do each case by case. So basically that's what we appoint those people to do, is to hear these type of situations. So therefore I would be against it.
Okay, no one else is in the queue. Please vote. I'm sorry, Commissioner Bowman.
Yeah. Did you make a motion?
No, ma'am, I was speaking, so if someone would make a motion to delay it until we get further information.
To delay this?
Yes, ma'am.
I move to delay.
Second.
We have a substitute motion on the floor.
On substitute first.
Vote for the substitute first.
Yes, ma'am.
To delay. Moved by Commissioner Bowman, second by Commissioner Thibodeau. No discussion, please vote. And that passes. Next
Next, we
item.
move to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5314 of 2013, amending budget investment revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund in the amount of $245,000 to establish an EB5 program for the year 2013.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
So,
second by Commissioner who?
it don't matter.
Yes, sir.
But I want to speak on it.
Escaday. Commissioner Williams, oh, sorry. Commissioner Williams.
Yes, let me say, I am a strong proponent of the EB5. I've been studying for the last 2 years. But it's a matter of protocol and how we handle our policies and committees. Many commissioners don't have the opportunity to review the minutes of the meeting, and I know oftentimes, sometimes I don't get them on my computer. I'm not that computer literate like some people. However, I don't think we need to deny this, but I think there needs some question need to be answered by Thursday to clear up some things, because there are commissioners that have concerns when you're spending this type of money on taxpayers, and they deserve that right. Not only this committee, but other committees that we don't have an opportunity to make an intelligent decision on these type of ordinance, because a lot of times we don't get the information, and I think it's unfair. I hope in the future we clean up our way of doing business up here, and we will get this information out through our department, to get it out to the commissioner, even the commissioner not on the board, not on the committee. All they have the opportunity to review the minutes of the meeting, so they could make intelligent decisions and vote on something of this magnitude. And I just hope that in the future we clean up what we've been messing up, and hopefully we can have a better interaction and dialogue on something like this. It's a great opportunity to do creative financing, and I know we've been good stewards of the taxpayers' money, and everybody come to us trying to get money for their projects. We ought to be able to allow some international money to come in and do business here in America. So I am very informed about EB5, even in Dallas, Texas, and New Orleans, and in California as well. So I hope that we would not deny it, we not delay it, but we would ask those questions, move forward to Thursday, and if the question you get at that time, make your vote. But let's move it forward without due process until Thursday, and then if you don't get the question you need at that time, you vote up or down how you see this. But I think it's a step forward in the right direction. We've been say we want to be a city, a parish that's open for business, a progressive parish, a parish with a new swagger. So we need to be able to think big and stop acting small. And oftentimes get tied up in the little fine prints and don't really see the big picture. So, but there are questions that need to be answered, and I hope we clean up what we've been doing. So thank you, Madam Chair. I hope my colleague move it to Thursday. Thank you.
Commissioner Thibodeau.
Yeah, I'd like to move to delay this until the first meeting in June.
Second.
The reason that I'd like to delay it is I read the minutes of the meeting. I was unable to make it to that meeting. I read the minutes, and it did say in the minutes that there was a budget, but that was not attached to the minutes. I'd like to see the budget, and I'd like to see what the overall future plans are, because I don't want this to be a recurring expense for us every year. And if we're going to be the owners of this EB5, that means that we're responsible for the expenses. So I'd like to know what the plans are, so that we don't have to come up with these funds every year. And I'd like to see a copy of the budget.
I have a substitute motion to delay until the first meeting in June. Moved by Commissioner Thibodeau, second by Commissioner Lynch. Are there any more discussion, Commissioner
I want to
Lynch?
speak on this.
Commissioner Lynch.
Y'all mark this day. This is a day I agree with Mike Thibodeau on something. I had several concerns. One, that I didn't have the information, and once I got it, I still had some other questions. Namely, what I saw in the meeting minutes did not indicate that the committee voted to come forward with an appropriation request. was just that we moved forward with it. When we when we were working on the CETA program, you know, we spent a considerable amount of time. It was a process that involved, you know, the city and the parish and, you know, folks that had, you know, different stakeholders, let me say that. Different stakeholders were involved. We knew, you know, the board composition, we knew what the bylaws or whatever, we had done all of that due diligence prior to committing the resources that we did. The other question I had was that the transfer is coming from oil and gas as opposed to the Economic Development Fund, which still has the money, I believe, for SKIDA in it, if I'm not mistaken. Still has that $500,000 there, which is probably not gonna happen this year. And so I'm a little confused as to why it's coming out of oil and gas as opposed to utilizing the monies that are already in the fund. And then I had a few questions of Mr.
Sure.
Sure. Mr. Shem.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
You may have to speak full name.
Myself, Norm Shum.
Okay. What is his?
Name and address.
Norm Shum, proud citizen of Caddo Parish, residing at 8401 Millicent Way, Shreveport, Louisiana.
I'm fully supported EB-5 program. I was on the initial task force with NACO for International Economic Development, and so I have kind of a general knowledge about the EB-5, and we're going to be discussing it in more detail at our meeting in July in Fort Worth. There's a whole seminar that's particularly on it. But my question was, what parishes are you all planning to include in your application?
Currently, Caddo Parish is the only one.
Oh, really? Okay, so I thought I saw something about Northwest Louisiana.
The area is open to a contiguous area with the regional center. That has to be determined once we get into the structure, what the contiguous perimeter is. The reason why is when we file an application with the USCIS, first it takes time to do that. And the attorney recommended we allow the maximum geographic inclusion. But mainly, our focus is Caddo Parish.
Right, I understand, but when you put in, because it's a regional center, so you really can't have one parish. As I appreciate it, when you look at the other applications, I mean, usually there are multiple parishes or, you know, cities, you know, it's a regional geographic. I don't think I saw one anywhere that just had one. It was either an entire state or several. So that was one of my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
And the other is the center itself, it has to be approved. Just because you make an application doesn't mean that you're going to be approved, right? So the initial is just to make the application, which is about $6,700.
That's correct.
But I saw some other costs on your advertising and some other fees and whatnot that would really probably come more after you're approved, as opposed to just taking, if out of the information that you gave us, just what is related to making the application?
The preparation of the packet, including the economic analysis that is done by professional economists. The USCIS has employed a team of economists to review each application to make sure that the application proposed projects comply with the requirement, which to create economic impact. And the formula they use requires the professional to prepare the package. That's why you see the economic impact studies consulting fee in there. The legal fee will include several disciplines of legal experts, including immigration, which is the one that directly deal with the EB-5 program, and also security. As we understand, the investment that coming from the investors will place this investment into a fund that could include and involve with this finance that requires the professional advice of security counselors.
Okay, so that whole 85 then, you're saying would be related to filing the application?
No, these are the professional counsels that would advise on the formation of the EB-5 applications, including immigration.
That's once the LRC is approved.
Well, no, in the process of applying for it, right.
Okay.
Because that requires, this is not just one attorney. This is a team of attorneys that specialize in different fields. These fees are included for that expenses.
Okay. Okay. And we can talk about this later, but I was just trying to determine which of these costs are directly related to making the application to the Customs and Immigration Services.
Okay.
Which ones are?
Item 1, item 2.
Okay.
Okay. Item 3. There are all those expenses getting ready for the package to be presented to USCIS.
Okay. Now, have you talked with the city about this as well? Because I think I saw that was the mayor at the meeting?
As a matter of fact, May last year, a year from this date, I have made a presentation to the mayor and the commission introducing the EB-5 program.
Oh, okay. What about with the chamber and the NLEP, the guy that was here today?
Steve Martinez. When we first introduced the program, Kurt Foreman had come forward and shown interest about the EB-5 program being a resource for attracting business to our parish area. We have further conversation about it, but they have never really engaged in any development with it.
Well, it sounded like Mr. Martinez might have some interest, because coming out of Austin and the experience that he has. And my last question is, what industries are you all targeting?
Mainly, we're targeting any business, including manufacturing, to the area. 2012, I personally have organized a roundtable along with Dr. Season from LSUS and BIPSI and several of the industry leaders in the hospitality industry to look at setting up the next generation of hospitality, tourism, retail, entertainment management in a 4-year, 2-year degree program right here in Shreveport. That is part of my hope to build an environment for our future growth for business. And so basically what we have done is to reach out to entities that would help make that happen.
I said I had one more question, but I do have another one, because I want to make sure that everybody knows that there are actually 5 EB-5 regional centers that service Louisiana. I think, they're out of other states.
Right.
But
That's correct.
I think the only one in-state is in New Orleans, but it certainly does not preclude investors from investing in Caddo Parish. And that there are other regional centers. So what is it about having one here, in that and there's no limit, because California has, I think California and Florida has the most of any 2 states. But what is the unique advantage, I guess, in trying to figure out of adding another one? And then I really think, as opposed to Caddo Parish swallowing the whole fish, that if we can be as collaboratively as possible, because what's going to happen, you're going to have to take in some other parishes, okay, if you're going to get an application approved. And so it doesn't necessarily mean if we pay the whole $245,000 and someone decides to invest $500,000 or $1 million, it could be in Lincoln Parish, you know. But we've borne the entire cost of getting the thing set up and going. So I don't know if we're supposed to get our money back. I think I saw something in here that, you know, we would be paid back at some point out of the operations. There were some questions, and I don't know if that was answered, Mr. Grubb, that you had about how it would be set up, whether we would own it. You know, this is not the business that we, you know, that this is not our area of expertise. NLEP, Chamber, all those folks, that's what they do. But I just want to make sure that we get some answers to all of that. We get it cleared up, and I think the delay will allow us to get a little bit more information on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, one thing that I would like to add, I recognize Mr. Martinez's vision, and I applaud, you know, his effort in bringing business to our community. With the EP5 program, as you know, it's mainly open to all foreign nationals. In reaching those communities, we have contacts and ground forces already in those countries, including China and Korea and Brazil. Those are countries that contribute the most of the applicants for the EP5 program. EP5 program is an alternative, a mechanism to help us to tip the balance. There are currently, as you know, there are over 250 regional centers operating in the United States. Of those, maybe 60, 70 are active. The reason why is that the project they have are not high-quality projects. For an individual who has $1 million to invest, of course, they are savvy investors. They're not looking for projects that a year down the road, they would fail. To answer your question about why we want to center this regional center here in Caddo Parish, number one, I have looked at other regional centers, including the City of Dallas Regional Center, which is very close to us. We have actually reached out to that company that operates a center and proposed to have them come and maybe operate here in Louisiana. But after my due diligence, I recognize that when this management company are out there promoting their projects, and if they're not from here locally, their heart is not here. Let's say if they go into China to present a project to attract the investors, well, Dallas is on the first priority, and Caddo Parish is not. So I'd rather have a company that has Caddo Parish's interest in heart locally, which is why I suggest that we proposed a locally operated and owned regional center.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Epperson?
I pass.
Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm going to oppose the amendment of the second motion, because as an elected official, sometimes we have to make gut check decisions. You know, being in business myself, I know what it's like. I done made some wise investment. I done made some bad investments. I think Mr. Child has the intellectual capital that's been missing in Caddo Parish to be able to attract Asian investors. Look at his nationality. As he's come from there, he ought to know how to open up those markets based on what he has. He has a team of professionals like no other in Caddo Parish or in the state of Louisiana. The answers that we want here, we can have them by Thursday. We don't have to delay this. We got the building, we got Elio coming here. We don't have nowhere to shop. We have to go way to Dallas to shop, or go to East Shreveport to shop. We bring these type of major Fortune 500 companies here and got nowhere to go to spend their money. We want to delay. We have enough time to Thursday to get the information we want and keep moving forward. We got to attract people to spend their money here in Caddo Parish, not driving to Dallas and New Orleans and those places. We need retail development. This is what EB5 provide those outside resources to come in here on the national, on American soil, to invest into our parish, to open up the market. Also open up other markets that we can put our resources, goods and services in their market. We got to think big. We can't just think about doing business in Caddo Parish, Shreveport. We live in a global economy, and America is not the same. You look at the demographics. We have Asian American, African American, we have Latino American. We got to learn to open up our minds and think big and recognize it important in having partnerships throughout this country and throughout America. But continue to try to delay this would be foolish. Because I respect people that served on committees. I don't know everything about a lot of committees, but I respect the people that's on there that make wise decisions and good investment for the Caddo Parish citizens of Caddo Parish. I don't always get everything coming in, but I trust the people that own there have enough intelligence to make wise decisions what's best for the citizens of Caddo Parish. I trust their judgment. That's why they serve on those committees. Why can't you trust the judgment of the commission that serve on other committees about the process to move forward? Why do we have to deny things or delay it? Some things that are good and some are bad. Some things we do need delay if we don't understand what we invested in. It's all over the internet. Let me Google your heart and Google your mind. Allow me to prick your conscience to be able to show you an open market of what's going on around the world. While we study want to just stay little old small. We want to be a big city, the next great city of the South, but we still think it's small. We got to be progressive. We got to think big, and we need to act big. So what? We make a mistake in some of the things we do up here. That's what it's all about. You're going to make some mistakes.
Commissioner Williams.
You're going to make some bad investments, but you're going to make some wise investments. And I hope that we move beyond the scope of just thinking Shreveport and go global and think big and don't act small. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. We're going to vote on the amendment to the last.
So moved by Thibodeau.
First, moved by delay, moved by Thibodeau, second by Lynch. That passed, 63?
To delay.
Pass.
Passes.
Okay. Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5315 of 2013 to close and abandon a portion of undeveloped Only Street in the town of Blanchard.
So moved.
Second.
Jimmy, can I ask? Can you give us an update on this real quick? This is a request by the owners, or where exactly this is?
Yeah, this is the owners initially requested the town of Blanchard to do this. Two owners on both sides of this old dedication. It's a very, very old neighborhood, probably 60 or 70 years old. As a matter of fact, Miss Nix, one of the owners, when I went out there to visit with her and see what the situation was on the ground, she told me that she thought Todd's daddy had taken care of all this for her when he was on the police jury.
A long time ago.
Yeah, she's got stuff built all over there, and so it's just a matter of closing the streets and letting them each pick up.
There's no street there?
No.
Okay, it's just kind of a little house cleaning measure?
Yeah.
Where's this at anyway? Is it in town Blanchard area? Or?
Yeah, down towards the ballpark.
Okay.
Down off of Lydia.
I know the other commissioners have some questions.
Commissioner Lynch.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map here. Where does Miss Nix live and where does Mr. Pippinger live? Which one of
Okay,
these
Miss Nix owns 3 of those lots. She owns the 2 lots on either side that front Phelps.
Okay, that's her, okay.
And then she owns the 1 lot which would be on the south side fronting Lydia.
Okay, what's at the top of that? Is that 24527?
Got me without my 24527.
She owns that one?
She owns that one and the 2 that front Phelps. And Mr. Pippinger owns the 4th one.
Which one does he own?
He,
you just gave me 4 for her.
No. She owns the 2 lots that front Phelps, that are on each side of the dedication that front Phelps.
Mm-hmm.
She owns this lot,
Okay,
and this lot.
okay. Oh, and he owns the West Lydia Avenue.
He owns that one right there. He only owns one, she owns 3 of them.
Oh, okay. And this is dirt, you said?
Ma'am?
Is it dirt?
Yes, it's dirt. It's a mud puddle.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner Dominic.
Oh, I
you
already
did.
spoke, so I was making a
Commissioner
motion.
Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Jimmy, you mentioned that they went to the city of Blanchard to get this done, and they turned it down.
No, the city's in favor of it, but with the exception of Vivian and the city of Shreveport, we want the commission to abandon road right-of-ways.
We own them.
We claim them, we own them. If something happens on them, they're suing us.
Well,
Well, I mean, that's the truth.
I already moved it, so,
Still got one on the board.
Commissioner Epperson.
In the mineral rights?
No.
I made the motion. Who seconded
Who
it?
seconded?
Second.
I withdraw mine.
Williams.
Williams made the second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Williams. Please vote. That passes. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Authorize resolution number 22 of 2013 approving the issuance of not exceeding 13.8 million of taxable revenue hospital bonds in one or more series of North Caddo Hospital Service District, Caddo Parish, State of Louisiana.
So move, I actually will move that items 22, 23, and 24 be moved to Thursday, if I can get a second. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Williams. Are there any discussion?
Yeah, can I speak on that?
Yes.
Mr. David Jones is here. David, can you come up real quick? Just to give y'all an update, and he may be able to update a little bit better, but the North Caddo Hospital District is the hospital that is owned and operated by it's owned by the taxpayers of North Caddo Parish. It's not owned by the Caddo Parish Commission. It's basically a public entity, just like a fire district would be. We do appoint the members to the hospital district. If you guys will remember, probably about this time, probably November of last year, the hospital district put on the ballot sales tax with the intention to build a new hospital. That was passed by the voters in the district. They are now seeking approval from the bonding commission and things like that to borrow money based upon those, actually some tax revenues and also the sales tax to build the hospital. This is why this is before us. They are asking, and I think it's required by law, that when they go to the bonding commission that we have to approve that. It's just like the fire district. If the fire district wanted to build a new fire station, they have to borrow money. They have to come to the commission. So that is why these things are here. We're not incurring this debt. It's the hospital district that will be incurring this debt. And Mr. Jones here, I know that some of y'all may have some questions. I see a couple on the board. Hopefully I've answered them, and he can answer any additional ones, hopefully.
Lynch.
All righty. Okay, so all 3 of these are for the construction and operation of the hospital?
Yes, ma'am, for construction of the new hospital, replacement hospital, yes.
Well, okay, because I think all of the language and all of them pretty much stay the same, say the same. Facilities, equipment, furnishing, et cetera, right?
Yes, ma'am. 2 of them are sales tax backed and
Well, this one is,
revenue.
Tax revenue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On the other question I had was that they have different interest rates. I think one has 6, one has 3, one has, I think, 4. Is there any particular reason for that?
I didn't know any of them had 6.
Well, I'm looking at this one on the tax revenue bonds. It says the bond shall bear an interest at rates not to exceed 6%.
Yeah, not to exceed 6.
Yeah, I understand, but the other ones have, this one, one has 4.5 and the other has 3.125, and I don't know, if it's just because it's the type
Well-
But it would seem like a revenue bond, you could get a much, much lower interest rate or have a much lower threshold.
The 3.125 has gone through the USDA process and has
Okay.
had commitment from them.
Okay.
And the other one has gone through an RFP from private institutions and come back, that was the lowest interest rate that we
Okay.
could.
And what about on the revenue?
That one is still USDA backed, but they don't have any funding into what's going on at the federal level. The money has to come from the federal level, and since no budget has been passed yet, they technically have no money to loan out. So they don't know what interest rate will be at the time that they give commitment.
You
and I
just
think
know
that's
you don't
why
want to
it's-
go past 6.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gotcha. Let me ask you about the period of time on the 6%. You got like 40 years on one, 22 on the other, 20 on the other one. Is there a reason why this one is so long?
40 years from the USDA, and that was, I guess, to benefit the hospital service district, so that the interest rate can be the lowest that it can be, and the terms can be the payment can be as low as it can be. The other ones, I think, were, due to what they are, I think they have to be 20 and 22 years. I think that's the max that they would
Yeah, it seems
offer.
a little long considering the amount, one being 5 million and one being 6 million. 20 and 22 years seems a long time for that small of an amount. But you all just want to
Yes,
take
get the
a
payment
30-year
as low
mortgage
as
on the house.
possible. Yes, ma'am.
So
That's
y'all
exactly
hoping a lot
right.
of people are sick over that 20-year period to pay for this?
Yeah, if they are sick, we would hope to be there to treat them.
Okay, well, my last question for real. On page 3 on the revenue bonds, it's got in here that you all will publish in the Caddo Citizen 4 consecutive weekly issues, and I wanted to ask if you all could also advertise that in the Shreveport Sun as
Yes,
well.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
Okay, I got a series of questions myself. There's some new, I've got different type questions. On the 3 taxes, they're all new taxes, right?
No, they're all taxed back by 1 cent sales tax that was passed in April of last year, so it's already actually been.
So it's already
Yes,
there,
yes.
utilized, okay. So the tax revenue, is that just gonna be inside of the hospital district?
Yes.
So nobody outside would be impacted by that?
That's
Okay.
correct. Well, it's a sales tax. I mean, anybody driving through, I guess.
Well, the next one is the sale tax. The sale tax, is that basically parish-wide, or is that just inside of?
It's just in the hospital service district.
Okay, so everything is inside the service district?
Yes, sir.
And that service district covers what general area?
It's Fire District 7 and 8. It's basically everything north of Blanchard in the.
A little bit of Morningsport. I think it gets Morningsport over there where Todd lives, maybe in the East Cove area, up there about where McCain Road.
Blanchard and Noah?
Pretty much north of Blanchard, everything north.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Mr. Dominic?
Oh, just a couple other things. Again, this was based on the tax that was passed last year. And y'all are doing an excellent job. Everybody's really excited about a new hospital that's coming there. It's going to be something wonderful that's needed for our area. There's a lot of things going on in that rural hospital. It's been a very, very success. They have a rural residency program. There are a lot of things are happening in that little area and this is one of the jewels that North Caddo Parish and Vivian is really proud of, is the hospital. I think it's the #1 employee in our area, if that's correct.
That's correct.
So they're doing a lot of good things, and I'm looking forward to the hospital, so.
It was a new tax, and we got almost an 80% approval rating for the tax. So, I mean, it says what the staff's been doing there.
Hey, does anybody have any other questions? Because David came here from Vivian today. I hope y'all got all your questions answered. I'm not going to ask him to come back Thursday, so hopefully y'all have all your questions answered.
Well, it's got a layover for 2 weeks anyway.
No, it's just a resolution, so it'll be voted on by
Oh, it's a
Thursday.
resolution?
That's correct.
Oh, no, I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you.
Please vote.
But he can come back if we need him to. Right?
Quit hitting on him, Steph.
Next item, Mr.
He's
Clerk.
married.
$1
He's married, Stephanie. Thank you.
Oh, he is? Oh,
Yeah, he
shit.
Authorize a special resolution remembrance for Mr. Gerald DeSale.
Oh, the Thursday.
Second.
Who is Mr. Gerald for sale?
Fire District. Yeah, he was a member of the Fire District 1, which moved over to Fire District 2. He served that community well during that time frame.
And Lakeview Water System.
Lakeview Water System as well.
Okay. Moved by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner, somebody. Please
Dominic.
vote. Next item.
Authorize approval for travel to Baton Rouge for Commissioner Epperson in support of House Bill 218 yielding motors. Committee hearing April 15th through 16th.
So moved.
Thursday. Second.
In Globo with the next one for April 21st, 22nd as well.
I have a question. Why are we voting on this after it happened?
Well, let me say, this is as a result of the changes made last year in the Policies and Procedures Committee that lobbying and travel, as I appreciate it, to Baton Rouge by commissioners had to be approved by the commission.
Before, not after. I asked a question, why are we voting on it after?
Well, the only answer I can give, Commissioner, is that the way the legislative process works, you get very little notice when a bill is going to be set before a committee or go on the House floor. So there's just a practical issue associated with it.
So it's
In other
because-
words, when Mr. Epperson first went down to participate in the passage of the bill through the House committee, we may have had 3 or 4 day notice.
Okay. But to my understanding is that the policy says that you have to get it voted on before you travel, though, right?
That's what it says, ma'am.
Okay.
We read it,
Right,
that's what it said.
Yeah, that's what the policy says.
The
but
new
it-
policy
yeah, but it
says that
doesn't-
you have to
Yeah.
get the travel voted on before you travel.
Right.
I just want to get understanding.
That's correct, that's what it says.
Okay. But because of the fact that you have a short window as far as bills or whatever, this is the reason. This is an exception? Is it an exception in the policy?
It's an exception if you pass, if you make the approval. It's your policy, so if you authorize this particular travel after the fact, then I would say you're making an exception to the policy, but it's your policy in the first place.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Escudé.
I understand how the late notice works. I'm going to support this. I don't have a problem with it. I just want to make a statement that I think it's unfortunate that Mr. Epperson had to travel down there and hold the hands of our local delegation just so they didn't screw something up. That's just sad. Thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
I just want to echo what he did put so much time and effort in ensuring that we have this opportunity here, and I'm going to support it wholeheartedly, along with Commissioner Epperson. Let me say Commissioner Escudé. Ken Epperson has done a marvelous job out there in his district, especially this particular project. He took it on personal. He's been traveling back and forth. We probably owed him more than what he got. He probably been down there more than this. But I just want to say, Ken, we appreciate the work you done put into this, and hopefully it come to fruition real soon.
Are there any, Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, I think we're going to run into this situation more often than not. So I think our Policy and Procedures Committee needs to relook at this situation instead of just saying you do it before when you don't have that window of opportunity to do it.
Well, the policy
While they're in
already say
session.
that you do it before.
I know, but when they're in session and you go in Baton Rouge to lobby for something like this, you don't have that time. It's been proven during the next session in which we changed the policy. So in future future sessions, you're gonna run into the same problem. So I think that our Policy and Procedure Committee ought to look at that to change it, so we won't have to be doing this by exception. It'll
Just
be
made a
following
change to it. You just made a change.
And it looks like we made a bad change. That's what I'm saying.
Get 7 votes, change it.
I don't know if it's bad. Commissioner Lynch?
You know, I mean, if we would be honest, you know, the whole thing, that particular part, as well as some others, was put in to be punitive. The system had worked. It's not like people were running to Baton Rouge or what have you every time you turned around. And now, you know, something that is good and that is needed or whatever has gotten caught up in it, and no commissioner should have to, you know, have this on the agenda and go through this. It's really ridiculous. And what folks wanted to punish Commissioner Epperson for didn't happen anyway. God don't like ugly.
Oh, I like that.
And he ain't too particular about pretty, as my grandfather used to say. And so, you know, there have been times in the past, I think even John had to go up with, and Woody had to go up to DC on the hat deal that didn't, you know, come to the commission. It was done because it had to be done quickly. I think the trip that you all took to Libby Glass was something that developed quickly. The trip to DC when we were trying to save General Motors is something that happened quickly. You know, we just need to get away from this punitive spirit that we have, that some people have, in regards to travel and what it takes for folks to represent, effectively represent their districts. Okay, thank you.
My comment on that is that, you know, if we're looking at punitive things, we need to look at it as a whole. But also, I'm looking at the fact that we put policy and procedures and ordinance and resolutions in place, and then we just decide to do whatever we want to do whenever we get ready to do it. And I just think that if we're going to take the time to put these policy and procedures in place, pass these ordinances, pass these resolutions, that we need to learn how to abide by them, all of them, ourselves first. And then on top of that, the next thing and the last comment I have on this is that this needs to apply for everybody, not just for certain commissioners, but it needs to be for the whole entire body. And that's my last comment. Commissioner Thibodeau?
Yeah, this was, I was on that committee. It was never meant to be punitive. It was simply to allow the commission to be informed on what people were traveling for. There are some that felt like wherever I want to go is great and the commission should pay for it. Well, and this is a good example of where an exception is probably needed. Elio Motors has to, he is the person who was, that really started all of this. He's the person that, I agree with Mr. Escudé, why he had to go down and hold the hands of our elected officials, I don't know. And whether that made the difference or not, I don't know. It probably did. But it's not punitive. It's to let people know why you're spending the money, the public's money, that's all. And I'm going to support him on this, but to just, and I realize that a lot of times when we make exceptions, the exception becomes what we vote on every time. But I still believe that if you need to go somewhere and there's time to get approval from the commission, that you need to do it. And, you know, we talk about informing the public of what we're doing. Well, this falls under that category. And so for those folks that in my opinion have taken advantage of the travel policy in the past, I think this helps to be sure that we know what we're spending our money on. That's all.
Mr. Escudé?
No, I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I kind of disagree with the chair on this. We're going to have exceptions. This came up, the hearing was scheduled. There wasn't time for us to meet to vote on it. I understand what Mr. Epperson needed to do. I don't have a problem with it. You know, this talk about the change in our policy that meant to be punitive is totally erroneous. What it was meant to prevent on the state level was having somebody go down there on the parish's nickel, lobbying against individual issues that may not be the collective will of this body. In this particular case, everybody's behind this legislation. It went down there. Mr. Epperson took care of it. As far as, I don't know, some people traveling to the gym, sometimes that's an emergency thing. The Detroit travel that was mentioned, they have their own travel budget. No commissioner went on that trip. That's their own thing. I've gone out of town once on an emergency basis, didn't have time. Got in touch with as many people as I could and said, I got to go do this. Do you have a problem with it? So there are going to be exceptions, you know, but I'd rather make exceptions than just have it carte blanche. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Mr. Lynch?
In defense of our Northwest Louisiana delegation, who did an excellent job, my state representative, Barbara Norton, as well as others in Caddo Parish and Bossier Parish, I don't think Mr. Everson went down there to hold their hands. He went down there representing the Caddo Parish Commission. This is our baby, and as everyone has, said, Commissioner Everson took the initiative to get this ball rolling, and so he wasn't down there holding anybody's hand. He was down there making sure that he represented the will of this body, and it was their job to make sure that we were successful, and so and that happened. So thank you.
Commissioner Williams?
Just trying to, it's a difference between the abuse and the use. I think Ms. Yesterday said it correctly. There are going to be times that are going to be a state of emergency or times where we can't come to this commission and go. And here again, that's why I say that we need to be able to be adaptable and change sometimes. We can't be stuck to the status quo. So there are times you have to change, make adaptation to the rule based on what's going on. I mean, that was a trip to Houston. That you have to be adaptable. If you want something done, you have to go. So I'm gonna hope that we don't be so strict that we can't learn to flex a little bit and have some change in them. So I want to be supportive as well. Thank you.
Please vote. That passes. Next item.
My vote on here was yes, it didn't register.
What?
Next item, Mr.
Mr.
Clerk.
Dominic, your vote?
My vote was yes, too.
Just want to be sure. Authorize appointment of Mr. Joseph DiStefano to the Caddo Parish District Number 1 Board, fill the unexpired term of Mr. Gerald Fussell, who is deceased.
Move to Thursday, and I would also like to englobe that's 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Second.
15, 16, 17, 18.
Numbers on here say
It's
that.
on my deal.
iPad.
Oh,
Rest of
never mind. Okay. I'm still
It's the
on
rest
paper.
of to send it.
Do we have a resume on this man? This
Which one?
Stefano?
Just Stefano.
I said 15,
Stefano?
16, 17.
Yes, and Fussell.
It's these three.
I need a resume.
Following last,
Thank you.
those last three.
18. There's 4 on there.
15, 16, 17, and 18. That's 4.
Okay.
Moved by Commissioner
Can we have the English numbers
Johnson.
for now?
Second by Commissioner who?
Thibodeau.
Thibodeau. Please vote. Mr. Grubb, answer? Yeah.
Commissioners, I gave you a little bit of erroneous information earlier when I was asked what the term of office is for people on the MPC. I said it was 4 years, but I've checked the statute, it's a 6-year term.
6.
Anyone can be replaced.
Next item.
Have a consent agenda.
Move to adjourn.
I want that one. I'll give you that.
Randy,
I want that one. Well, we already talked about this.
yeah, I hear you. That's a really good job down there, brother.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. They know I'm gonna do that.
Residential.
All right.
Housing is accompaniment to one north.
I have my flowers and my cards, and I can talk.